saying that we can kind of wander through the rig. You want to wander through the rig a little bit too, Frank?
Well, no, because we're different parts of the.
Just want to stay down on the
Yeah,
drive house.
just stay in the drive house, go through the engines, and then I'll kind of say I want to go to your shop, maybe show you guys. Because different parts of the tour we're gonna have different.
These are 3512.
3512?
It's kind of a standard engine package in the field. Just about everybody runs them. There is bigger rigs that run 3516s. Obviously, you get into a couple thousand horsepower rig, 2,000 or 3,000. You obviously need more engines. We're building an engine package for Mexico, and it's got 5 3512. Fuel systems, obviously we just burnt the pumps off of a rig on the weekend due to the fuel system failure again. So obviously there's going to be a campaign come out pretty quick about inspecting fuel lines, fuel systems, making sure your valves are in proper working order. All the fuel runs overhead. It's a open loop system. So it goes from the fuel tank, comes in, runs across, down. Here's your shuttle line, right? This is return, and that's feed. These engines require 20% of the engine's cooling, this 12 coming from fuel. So we have to have a huge amount of, well, not pressure, but flow. So don't ever work on an engine fuel system with the engine running, because you really have no control on that. And that's what happened to the motor hound in that situation.
You didn't cut off the engine?
Well, I can't speak for him, but there was 2 engines running and one was shut off, and he decided to work on the fuel system with one still running instead of shutting it off and starting another one forward. But anyway, fuel systems, yes, they happen to burn right down very quickly.
These set up, these breakovers set up and change on the fly?
Yeah, that's exactly what these are. You know, you always have to have one on, right? But you can change those on the fly. I really don't recommend it. Yeah, in case something does happen.
Hey, I guess it's pretty normal.
That's called, it's slobbering is what that is.
Oh.
And it's from running an engine
At idle too
at
long.
idle. At idle or little to no load. And there's no way to get around it other than putting a load into the engine, you know, 20, 30, 40% load. But this is that.
What's bound to happen is
It's brand new, it'll happen when it's brand new, and it'll happen when it's got 50,000 hours. We expect our engines to last about 60,000 hours. So if you figure that out, if you drove a car at 60 miles an hour, 10,000 hours, 600,000, right? So we expect them to go a long time, hence the proper maintenance program. We're working on it, obviously. It's kind of a work in progress. You have to teach. You got to teach the lead dog before the other ones will follow, right?
vicious cycle if you don't.
Yeah, true. Batteries, they're all equipped with, right behind you there. Every engine is equipped with its own set of ring batteries. There's 2 12-volt batteries in there. Anybody know what the voltage on a 12-volt battery is?
12 volt.
A fully charged battery is 12.6 volts. They say a dead battery is 12 volts. So combined, you should have 15 and a half volts. These engines will die once the voltage drops below 20. That's why they have their own separate. So if you have one set of batteries running 3, you lose your batteries, now you're on downtime. They're all equipped with their own battery charger in that box. That's one of the things that really a motor hand should check is the quality of his batteries, the connections. Make sure that there's no corrosion, and these are all maintenance-free batteries, so you don't have to add water or anything like that. We get many calls. My engine won't start, it won't do this, it'll shut down. It's bad or good. It's got 95 hours on it, and obviously there's no. So I call it like pages of a book. So you can. First page, and that'll tell you your load. Obviously, if it was running. Yeah, you can go through it and see it would be something other than, but you can't screw anything up, you can't mess anything, you can't. Yeah.
What, don't have a charger? No? That tells you like, I need a pop.
Well, some of them do, some of them don't, yeah. But that's how you get through your fault codes. Obviously, if you have a flashing light, there's something wrong, right? They don't flash, just make them look pretty. But you can play with it. There's 5 pages. So you can go through the load, you can go through each individual gauge. It'll tell you in metric, standard. You get your codes off of here. So when you guys are out there, you know, you can play with them, right? And just learn how to go through the codes, how to get the codes. And learn where your gauges and your pressure should be. Right, when this rig leaves the yard, it goes to the field, I would assume that everything is in 100% working condition. So you know that the fuel pressure should be 68 pounds, you know the oil pressure should be 68 pounds, your voltage should be 25, whatever. So take the time to know what the gauges, what each individual gauge does, and know where it should be sitting, right? Wes?
You can check your turbo temperatures, your right side, your left side. That panel's basically a dummy panel. You can't hurt it. You can change it from US to metric, and then you may be like, oh, my temperature is way high. You just got to understand your Celsius, Fahrenheit. Understanding this engine, you know, knowing the key points to it, you know, we can show you guys a little bit more throughout the shop. Then over here, you got your rig savers, you got all your fuel system, knowing where all your shutoff valves are, just in case you got a fuel leak, something like that. Knowing understanding your equipment, you know, like it says, you know, if you understand it, you'll maintain it, you'll follow it. Checking your levels, your grease points, stuff like that, you know, that's gonna keep the engine life throughout long term for this rig. You know, these engines go down, this rig doesn't run, so.
One of the things I'll bring up right now, these generators are equipped with, they're called double bearing generators. There's one bearing in the front, one bearing in the rear. And it says right on this tag, how much grease and when to grease them. I advise you to pay attention to that. That's another huge problem we have is bearing failures on these generators, and we bring them back to and you ask the push, have you been doing your maintenance stuff? Yeah. But when we get the generator back and tear it down, we can see that nobody's greased this generator in months or years or whatever, right? So there's a grease line right up here, and there's a grease zerk right there in the back. I think it's 6 ounces every 12 months. I believe a tube of grease is 14 ounces. So those bearings take, give or take, a half a tube of grease every 12 months. You don't have to do it, you know, you can do it every quarterly, do it quarter two or whatever, right?
Can't hurt them. These things have got grease strips that,
Yeah.
the grease drops on the bottom. So I mean, if you don't put grease in
You
it,
can put a couple hundred tubes in, but you'll just have a
Just
couple
about.
hundred tubes on the ground, right?
but at least we put grease in it,
Yeah.
you know,
And,
that's a costly.
yeah, they're, depending on how bad the bearing, if the rotor, everybody know what a rotor and stator is? Rotor is obviously a rotating part, stator is a stationary part. If they touch, it'll be about a $40,000 repair. This whole engine package is $400,000. So, you know, it's just not it's not a little 350 Chevy, right? Build for, you build a really good 350 for what, a couple $1,000?
Yeah.
So, just, you know, without them, it's the heart of the whole rig. Without it, you got nothing. Every piece of the rig is important, but obviously, because I take care of engines, it's the most important. We'll walk through there, air compressors. Obviously, compressed air is it's a trap waiting to get out, right? So be very careful. Don't, if you are blowing something off, make sure that you don't have it in your hand or something. I've never seen it, but I've heard stories of people.
Jetting the water and stuff.
Yeah. A lot of the legacy Grey Wolf or some of the older rigs, especially down here, they run air winches. If you run an air winch in Canada,
Freezes up.
it freezes up. So we don't run a lot of air on our rigs. We don't have huge air compressors like some of you guys might be familiar with. Two big 60 horsepower air compressors. Ours aren't. Everything is hydraulics due to the fact that hydraulic doesn't freeze. So it's kind of a Canadian mentality more than anything. So we'll go through there. But it's set here, it's just like everything set at factory. We set it. This is about 118 pounds right now, but I believe, and they'll be set identical. Right. They do require oil changes. That's why they have oil filters. They don't take a lot of oil, so it's not a costly. And obviously redundancy. We got two of them, so you can, leave one running and change the oil in the other one. Obviously, you guys have motor hands. You should have some kind of a maintenance book. Your push should. That's part of it.
What are these compressors going to be feeding on the rig, you know?
Well, they don't feed a hell of a lot other than a few clutches and that. And then obviously air for start up and just, but we don't have really any winches and that. So that's why they're not very, very large. Anyway. What else you guys want to talk about?
What's this space here?
This is a work area. 250 to 500 hours, they give you that leeway to change the oil. The big ones are 1,000. Caterpillar recommends every 500 hours, but we did a pilot a little while ago, so we kept sampling our oil to figure out where safe hour range would be. And at 1,000 hours, the oil is still got its properties and capabilities.
Damn it.
There's some drilling companies that, you know, offshore, they don't change oil.
Thanks.
They just change filters and replenish. That's not my coolant. Very major component, especially if you're going to West Texas. It's modern shit, right? Just maintenance.
Can we get some for the coolant? Those gauges just kind of lift up right here a bit. Those are removable
Yeah.
so they can.
Yeah, there's a lid on the roof. There's drains out the front. There's sight glasses, there's level glasses. Obviously, if there's nothing in the sight glass, I'm sure he put something in there.
They stay pretty close to the bottom. The level on them, they're toward the bottom because there's an expansion there. So if you guys fill them up every day, all the way to the top, you're gonna burp them out. And then you're gonna think that you're burning 5 gallons a day, 5 gallons a day. It's actually, that's your expansion for when your coolant gets hotter, so.
Quiet, perfect.
Company has their own idea of what radiator is good and what radiator is bad. This is a Fuzzy's radiator. They've been around for years and years. They build a good product. We stick with, it's called Global Heat Transfer.
Because of the cold.
Number 3.
No,
Oh.
it just it's a copper core and it's a tube. The ones we use are tube type. They seem to hold up better. And you stick with one thing and you standardize. Because if you have so many, now you gotta have
Parts for this,
spare
parts for that.
Yeah. So, engine packages, we work on them all. 3512, 398. If it burns diesel, we work on it. Even if it don't.
You know, if you see something wrong, bolts loose, something like that, you know, let somebody know. Can we shut it down? Do we need a mechanic? Do we need an electrician? Whoever it is, you know. Because if you just kind of cover your eye and just keep on walking, you know, eventually it's just going to come apart. It's going to fall apart. It's going to wreck something. It's going to put a fan through the radiator or, you know, stuff like that. You know, that can protect you and your coworkers, right? You know, if you see something, you know, yeah, see something, bring it to somebody's attention, you know, that needs to take care of it, you know. If you cover up your face, this guy would still be either with us or not hurt, and now his family's got to worry about it, or, you know, then you got that on your conscience, you know. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Y'all see something loose, you know, talk about this. Let somebody know.
The engineers could have done slightly different. It's called a micro switch, and all it is it's got a little ball in there, and it runs a circuit from here to that one, back over to the other side to the same micro switch. And what happens is from the vibration, and there is a bit of soot that goes through here, the carbons these up, and then it'll just shut your rig down. Because it actually, this circuit gets cut, right? It's not a circuit anymore. What it does is it grounds the ECM, so it just kills all power to the injectors. So no matter what you do, it won't crank, it won't do anything. So many of them out there, and that's one of the reasons a lot of the contractors use them. There's cat dealers, they're everywhere, right? They're in San Antonio, they're in Odessa. So parts, every engine's a good engine, but they're gonna break down. So the difference is being able to get parts, right? Get mechanics. And that's one of the reasons why we use Caterpillar. I can phone Joe's engine shop and tell him I got a 3512, da-da-da. He knows, or he's got a mechanic that can work on it. Anybody? Nothing? Frank?
These soap filters are cheap. It's easy to pop that cover off and pull that thing out there and just change that soap filter, and not the whole filter.
What's the monthly, semi?
When you see them dirty, due to the fact that West Texas, some days are dirtier. Then if you go up north, you may not have near the dust that we do in West Texas or anything like that. But, yeah, and them are $2.88, I think.
They're cheap.
They're very cheap compared to that filter, and you can take it out, throw it in the trash, slide another one on there, put the air cleaner back in, and you're back to business.
So, coming from the farm, years ago I watched my dad take the filter off the tractor, bang the dust out, blow the dust off, swam her back in the tractor. That is not a practice that Precision Drilling. We don't mechanically clean filters. You can actually take your filters in and get them clean. So now, obviously, they're engineered, right? Everything is engineered. So as the filter gets dirtier, it becomes more efficient, really, right? Less and less air goes through it, it cleans better, but you gotta feed this thing air. This thing takes a shit pile of air. So if you see it dirty, just swap it out. Make sure your rig manager knows when you only have 2 filters left. Realistically, you should have a complete set of filters on your rig at all times, right? No matter if it's, and then the people that bring the oil can bring you filters. We have PD Supply, which supplies rope, soap, and dope. I call it rope, soap, and dope to our rigs, and the rig manager should have any or all your maintenance products on hand.
The functions of some of the safety equipment, like catwalk, they don't have laser sensors on there like before. This has a safety curtain around there, so people walking into there, you actually have to manually bump it, engage that, or it will isolate that equipment, lock it out. Up on the rig floor, we'll go through fire extinguisher replacements, eye wash areas, lockout boards. I'll let Jason Atkins go through the Amphion system. He's electrical foreman for the shop and field manager. I'm sorry, he's a manager. He's going to go through the Amphion, kind of on the safety equipment that's been implemented into that Amphion system, your upper and lower limits, your e-stops, driller controls. So that'll be covered by him. I'm just going to do pretty much a rig walk. We're going to go through safety concerns, how the safety equipment works, the placement of it, and just maintaining it and anything associated with the equipment. You guys have questions out there? You feel free to ask me. I don't really have, I'm not going to be going by a strategic thing on what we're going to be going over. It's going to be much in the area we are, equipment associated with that, how to maintain it, what to do in case of emergency. On that, we're going to go ahead and start walking out to Rig 575 so we can get to know your rig a little bit better. That's all I got. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and discuss a couple safety features on the actual catwalk. Other Amphion systems we had, just like garage door openers. Whenever you walk past that curtain on the bottom, she stops and she won't function. Same thing with this, except this is a safety curtain. It's got a cable running to the stops. For some reason, somebody were to step up here, they have to manually bump that cable. If you're going to be going up here to adjust any equipment, that's either being told to go down there or you're going down there on your own. If you're going to be going up there, of course you would alert the operator, hey, I'm going to be on the catwalk. But also there's this other device, it's an e-stop for that equipment. You go up there, give it a pull, should automatically shut off this equipment and it will not function until you reset it manually down here. So this cable works just like a garage door opener. If I tug on this cable, it's going to pull out that e-stop and it's going to disengage it. The only way to manually engage it again is to come back in here and reset that. That's one safety feature on the catwalk.
The older rigs had eyes on it, kind of like,
Right.
just like the garage. And what's happening? It was the location wasn't level. They were off, out of sight, and giving them a lot of alarm. So they kind of went with this safety feature.
there's going to be a camera installed on the center of this as well that hasn't been installed yet. So you have that ability to be able to see casing getting a run, the hands up on the racking board. You can see what's going on as a driller inside that console, because once you're inside there behind that drilling console, your limit of visibility without those cameras is narrowed to just what you have on that screen. Once you get pipe in that derrick, you're not going to be able to see half that floor. You have to utilize the cameras that have been installed that you can zoom in, pan out, and actually see what's going on operation-wise. That communication, that's that key that we talk about all the time. Communication is a key. You have to be able to talk with your hands, talk with operations, what's going on, and good communication with your hands. If something's going on, you got to be able to have to stop that job authority. You know, the driller can't see everything that's going on. He can't see where your foot's getting put. He's not going to know when it happens. You got to alert them. You got to make sure you're talking about it. Having good guys on the floor who know how to run that floor and operate all that equipment. Once whoever's going to be on that floor, they're running that floor. That driller's just making sure that they're doing what they're told and working safe. You know, we have all these added safety features on here just in case. There's always a way around and overriding stuff. You know, if somebody decides to sneak under here, that's blatant disregard. You know, we have warning signs just like on that stairs over there. Do not enter when in use. We can do so much for you guys' safety, but you have to also take that responsibility upon yourself to maintain those rules and enforce them.
We have who's the rig managers and drillers? We have your my name is Jason Atkins. I'm the manager of electrical systems for the U.S. We have a lot of rigs out there floating around the field that they're taking these cables off. They're in the way. We know they're in the way, but this is just how the equipment was designed. So if you take one of these off, you're actually modifying. Nobody has the authority to take this off without doing a management change. We have to run this up through our executive to let them know that we're about to remove a safety device. Patterson last year, they took this loose. With this loose, right now when you pull this down, it's going to activate the C-stop. This cable was in the way and they took it loose and they had a guy get crushed. I mean, like literally when that pipe rolled over on him, this edge right here, it's not even sharp and it almost cut him in half and it killed him. So if you guys are out there and something happens and this cable breaks, it's better to take some downtime and sit there and not have your rig running than you guys have to all pile up at somebody's funeral. So if this thing gets ripped off or whatever, don't keep running it, don't keep using it. You can buy one of these cables at Home Depot for about $15 and stretch it out there yourself and fix it. You know, it's just a matter of, this is probably the most important thing on this whole piece of equipment right here, is these cables. So we don't want nobody getting hurt. So if something happens and these things get tore up or whatever, don't use it until you can get them back.
It's supposed to be kind of whatever the height of the pipe is. So that way you allow for that pipe if it decides to fall off. Some of the times fall off. You have that buffer area where you're clear of that danger zone. Depending on the job task you're doing, I'd always go at least by twice the height of that equipment.
What's the thing that gives you problems the most on this?
This is a new one to me. They've made some modifications. As far as control-wise, I'm not too familiar with that equipment. I haven't heard of any issues. I mean, everything on this one's been working very well. The controls are all labeled to operate what functions are going to be operating on this equipment. I have the safety curtains up. We have a winch back here to help assist with tailing equipment off the V-door so you're not just dragging it down up and down. It also helps to fold over the actual V-door itself.
Are these still remote?
The main issues that I've seen with them in the past is hydraulics mainly. They have a lot of hydraulic problems, which I don't know if you guys, any of you are hydraulic techs, but mainly hydraulics. They usually have a remote where you can stand up there. I don't know if this one has the remote on it or not, but
It's actually right off the right side.
Cordless or is it?
so the communications between that and this usually cause a lot of problems. Electrical problems mainly. This thing is pretty much, if it breaks, you're going to need an electrician or you're going to need a hydraulic stick. So there's not going to be a lot you can do. If something gets bent, you can try to straighten it out, but it's mostly electrical and hydraulic problems.
I know the biggest issues we had on these lots at the time was the hydraulic getting hot running it.
Yeah.
Tanks might be a little too small. You know, the middle of the day when you're running it, hottest part of the day, you're running pipe up and down, hydraulic's getting hot. I hydraulics, I need to look into this one here. I'm not sure on these fans, on the automatic fans on these. I know the older ones you had a manual fan on them, and you also had manual heaters on it. We also had time for a while there, the guys leaving the heater on during the winter, and forgot to turn it off. So that it was keeping the hydraulic fluid warm, and with the hot temperatures running the top of that, running the catwalk up and down, it's overheating.
This whole thing goes to crap suddenly. I mean, it's made in such a way that we can manually, hey, roll the pipe on, look it up. All
You
right.
still go back to picking up pipe, the old school with lift cap and your voice.
Well, it depends. It kind of depends on what your problem is. If you're having a hydraulics issue, none of this is going to work. Your slide's not going to work.
So you can't run this from the floor and down here manually. And I know we have problems with a lot of the first generation rigs where there wasn't communication. They had to have a guy down here.
Where's the control for the floor doghouse?
The control's right there in the corner. Inside where your track is? Yeah, you slide that pipe in there, holds it in there. So that way it doesn't back on. Yeah. But we're not supposed to work anything overhead, here. So if it does get stuck up there, we'll get somebody out here to bring it down.
Usually, if something happened that got stuck up in there, we'd have you put the pin in there just to keep it from falling. But then we'd send one of our guys out to lower it down for you.
It's the first version where you can actually see the drone from the doggo.
Where you can what?
Actually see the drone from their drill chair.
Drawworks is mirrored on the last one where so this brake guard goes over here, so it's limited your visibility. Right over the A-leg spread, so you got more floor space. You drop the rotary table down so it's flush with the floor now. That's almost it.
We took the 3 good features that NOV had and we perforated.
Setback has been increased, more racking capacity, 25,000 feet now. Include of 850, I think it is, right? 850.
What are some of our main safety features on the rig floor now? Would you say?
Also, we do have a mouse hole slip bowl so that you can do stands offline as long as you're taking the precautionary notes. Safety feature, dropping of the rotary table was a safety feature. We've rotated the drawwork so that the drum is visible from the floor, or pardon me, from the driller's console. The iron roughneck's been repositioned slightly, which hasn't really, I'd say it's as safe as it was before. There's nothing really changed there. Yeah, the wrench will reach both mouse holes. These rigs are originally designed with 2 mouse holes. Because we run range 3 pipe, which are 45 feet long, you can put 2 joints in, screw into the first one, pull it out, screw into the second one, and then build a stand on the fly as opposed to building it offline and then grabbing it.
Another standard across all of our rigs now is anti-skid on all of our rig floor walking areas. Like you said, they dropped the rotary table as a feature also to be level with the floor, so it's not a trip hazard. We're still going to be installing rotary mats with skid material on them with the danger zone painted on there. Just like when you walked into this area, on each A-leg there's a stop sign saying beware of the danger zone, just like in front of the drawworks it says beware of the danger zone. Those signs are there as a warning, as an acknowledgement saying stop. Look at what you're about to walk into, look up, look above. There's operations going on, your third party coming up here, that stop sign hopefully will stop you and alert you that there's operations going on here. If I'm not aware of, I should look around and ask these questions. Just like on the driller's console in there, it says authorized personnel only. If I'm not authorized, I'm not going to touch it. Most of this equipment out here, if you're not trained to operate this equipment, ask, get trained on it. If you never run a floor hand, an SC80, get to know that equipment, know the functions of it, know how to maintain it, and do inspections on it. The equipment's only as safe as the operator itself. If you don't set your parameters right on this drawwork, you don't do your block calibration, you can still tear things up. It does have safety features in there for your lower and upper limits, but for some reason you didn't run the proper strings on your block, You added new elevators in, new bells, you can still run into the floor. If you don't write the proper round of strings on your block, it's going to run a lot faster. It's not going to know its height correctly. These are all different things that are incorporated with it. They've added into the system. But just like anything else, there's that human error. The system's as only good as the person operating it.
There's two other features we've added with the block system now as well. Monkey board collision. So there's set points that you choose in the derrick. There's actually two systems. One's mounted right on the main leg at about 67 feet. So if the elevators are extended out at that point and you pass through that, you're going to get an audible alarm in the doghouse just as a reminder. It doesn't stop it, but we're also adding that feature right into the Amphion system, so that same thing, it'll act just like you have your lower limit and your upper limit. If your elevators are extended out either above or below the board, it'll slow you down, or it'll actually stop you, and the only way you can carry on is hold the override button with your elevators extended, right? So, yeah, after a certain point, yeah. So you can push it out, close to the end of the diving board to assist the derrick. That's right. No, it will. Right, yeah, because when you push the pipe out to assist the derrick hand, as soon as he has it, you hit float and away you come down, right? As soon as you're in float mode, it'll allow you to go up and down because the elevators are back on well center, right? So it's only if your elevators are extended out and you're coming up or you're coming down. So if you're stopped and you've got it extended out, there's no problem. I would assume running in the hole, the derrick hand is he not throwing out to the elevator?
That's what I'm saying, but you already get your elevators extended.
Oh, okay. Depends on how you're doing it. I didn't realize that. I would see them run a pipe with the derrick hand is actually going out to the elevators. The elevators aren't extended up to him. Are you guys running them where you're extending out to them?
Because right past the
Back there, you only got
Throw it in. But you're not out past the. Yeah. So as long as you're not out past the board, then you're all right. Because there's on the link tilt, there's a linear position system that tells it where it's at. So it's set to be to the front of the leg. It's still clear. It doesn't consider it interference. It's only when you're past that. So as long as you're not past that, you don't have a problem. Yeah, she's in there testing. It's already installed. It's not the second section up. You see a frame around it?
You guys look up this derrick leg right here? You'll see a clamp on there? They put an alarm and a buzzer and stuff in there. This is a new system that we're going to try. So this is the first rig it's going.
And that's actually a second system. Like there's the Amphion NOV system, that's actually a secondary. We're just testing them out to see. Because the thing about that is it's a fixed set point. It doesn't rely on where you position or do your limits, right? That one's a fixed system that's going to flag you, so you know you're there. There's a third mouse hole here, guys. What that's for is our test stump. We have what we call our stack rabbit BOP handling system. There's actually a test stump on it, so you can test offline. You can stand the stack up back there, and that's a place where you can drop a joint of pipe through it and test offline. So you can pre-test all your BOPs. The lug in the center, it flips up. You just want to pull that up on the front. You'll see that. What that is, we call it a logging lug. So when you're logging, you got your shiv here. That's just a place to tie it off for, right? It's a certified tie-off point for it. I mean, you can use it for a lot of other things too. But that was its main purpose. Is what it's for. Then it lays down flat into the floor, so it's not a tripping hazard.
Features that we've had on the floor, and we're still installing it. We're waiting on equipment. As you can see, we still have a lot of construction going on. We're getting things buttoned up. We will have a shower eye wash station available on the rig floor in case there is an emergency where you need to rinse off or wash off your eyes for some reason. There'll be a shower and eye wash station in that area. So everything that we install is easy up for rigging up and rigging down. That way, equipment gets put up and maintained like it's supposed to. And each one of the buildings is going to be a fire extinguisher. Depending on the kind of building it is, what kind of fire extinguisher is going to be associated with. It's a drive house, electrical house. It's going to have CO2 fire extinguishers to fight that type of typical fire. Inside this building for the dog house, it's going to have two different kinds of fire extinguishers. One ABC and one CO2. That way, If there's a fire on the floor, you have an ABC available, but there'll also be at their entry points to the rig floor, fire extinguisher available. Like I said, other safety features, anti-skid on the entire floor, walking surfaces, rooftops have anti-skid, handrails all the way around, and safety cables on the roof. So whenever you do start rigging down handrails, there is a safety tie-off area. That way you can maintain 100% tie-off at all times. Rig floor, they do have rope grab system, and you do have solid blocks coming in that you will be installing underneath that monkey board. They're not installed yet. We do have a rope grab system. That way you can use it whenever you're working at height. The derrick ladder going to the derrick board, you have your static line, you have your climb assist, enough to equip 2 derrick men or 2 individuals going up to that board. So if you're going to have training, someone go up there to assist for rescue purposes, there's 2 available for them to go up there and utilize that ladder. That way no one's free climbing. All safety cables are on every light. There's 2 cables per light. So everything overhead is 100% secure. Any pins, bolts, has keepers, safety cables, whip checks. That way we prevent that overhead risk. Of course, it's up to the... Yes, all the fingers on the diving board and the actual diving board itself, all the fingers have a secondary safety cable on them in case there was ever a board collision with the elevators. That would prevent that equipment from actually falling down on the employees. It would still break it free, but those cables are going to grab it to secure it to keep it from coming down any further. That was installed as a safety feature to prevent that kind of incident. But we also have the link tilt sensors that prevent the board collision. But they of course have to be maintained and installed and visually checked for their working performance wise.
So you can move it. So if you knock this thing over and you bust one of these switches, you're screwed. You have to be trying to run it from down there. Most of the time with the communication, if you knock this over and you mess something up, usually you blow fuses or trip breakers down there in your panel. And so once that happens, you're not going to be able to control it from down there either. You're going to have to get a hold of one of our guys out in the field. The best thing you can do is just be real careful with this. Most of the time I've seen them drag it over the handrails and tie it up with a rope so you can't knock it over. But or get it wet. These seals, after about a year, these seals that's in here, this rubber gasket, I don't know what they're using, but that seal usually gets all messed up. So water will eventually get in the bottle. Just keep in mind that's what this is.
So making sure that this is maintained and works correctly. You don't just pull on this, you have to actually twist it to release your E-stop. You got to have your foot maintained on the pedal at all times, be able to function and work the equipment. You don't want to have this, I know it has enough cable here, but you don't want to have this in a blind spot where you can't actually see visually down to the catwalk.
We don't have this on the other side.
It can be removed and moved around the cable. I don't know what the length of it is, but I'm sure you can position it in an area where it's more comfortable for you.
Most of the time, you're going to have all the pipe on this side, and you're going to be able to feel it coming up.
So it is movable. It's not fastened to the floor. You can move it around. It's not a wireless unit. I know some of the catwalks have wireless controls, but a lot of that's not getting maintained. They're dropped, they're left out in the rain. They get damaged. People lose the keys for them, and guess what? You have to work them manually down there. This isn't going anywhere. This is a lot better. It's not going anywhere. Very easy. Labeled exactly for the function it's doing. It's got a good safety feature.
This is where all the magic happens right here. A lot of people don't realize this. Whoever's sitting in this chair has everybody's life out there on the rig floor in their hands. They can control anything and everything that happens, and so whoever's here needs to be paying attention at all times. This joystick pretty much makes it drives your top drive up or your blocks up and down by using the motor. And like Steve said, this is actually a driven instead of an SCR rig. You're depending on the weight. This thing, when you push it forward, you're telling that motor to run a certain way to tell it to go off. We're not going to go through, because you guys are going to do an Amphion class, so we're not going to actually go through the touch screens, but this is pretty much the most important things you need to know. Every time you got to do a rig move and you go to rig up, I don't know what Precision's policy is. I test this thing every day just to make sure it works. But you've got so many people out here depending on you, I would test this and make sure that it works no matter what. We have a lot of alarms going on. Half the stuff here ain't working, so we can't really, everything I try to show you in here is going to be messed up. But this is your drilling page, and it shows pretty much everything that you got going on, where your block height is. This is make sure everything's calibrated, your high and high, your low and low stop. But like I said, anytime you have problems with any of this, it's better to call us and let our guys go out and fix it until after you guys have all had some experience on the rig. You flip a switch and you're not sure where the switch is, and you turn it on and your blocks fall. That's bad. So as for right now, until we get some more training involved and get you guys more familiar with the rig, then we're just going to leave it, call it a pros. There's three parts to this system right here. There's the VFD house, which is downstairs. That stands for variable frequency drive. SCR rigs are silicone controlled rectifiers. They're pretty much the only difference is DC and AC. But this system here comes in three components. It has your dog house, your VFD house downstairs, and an LER house, which stands for local electrical room. And that's, you have some breakers and stuff out there. We're going to go out there in a minute. These panels up here pretty much are just for your lighting and stuff like that. You don't have a whole lot in this one that you guys need to mess with. I don't think you have anything in here. Yeah. Your camera systems and these monitors, those switches right there for your windshield wipers and stuff, and your fans, and then your lighting circuit. That's really all that's in here. So everything else that controls this is over there in the LER house, which we'll get to that in a minute.
So e-stops on the chair itself, which e-stops do those control?
Well, this right here, there's different e-stops. This right here shuts down the Amphion. It doesn't control your generators. It just stops Amphion.
So another e-stop we have in this building, this will shut down everything on the rig. That's the generator.
Yeah.
This will shut down the heart of the rig. For some reason, there's something out of your control that this is last resort, that there's nothing working, your engine killed. This will shut down all power to the rig. Emergency lighting will come on. That's probably much, and your Amphion screen will stay on.
Part of the reason they put that one up there, that's your own shit button. You're going out this chair to hit that button and out the door. So that's why it's mounted where it's mounted. Yeah, we've had a lot of times where they would have an issue and they need to kill the Amphion, and then they hit the button and we actually dropped the blocks on a rig up in Pennsylvania a couple of years. So that's why we moved it.
Other features inside this building, we will have a little eye wash station here, bottle eye wash station. The first aid kit will be mounted in here. Material safety data sheets will be in here, which is going to be that new global harmonized system that will be incorporated to this building. So all your material data sheets or hazardous materials on site. Emergency contact information will be filled out per site on that board. And of course, your drilling exit is 3 days for each driller and the crew. How many days did you work safely? That'll all be maintained in here. Fire extinguishers on each door, one CO2, one ABC type. That way, depending on the kind of fire is fighting, like I discussed outside, you will have those available to you. I put them on the doorway for the one fact that is, I want you to be by an exit before you're going to fight a fire. I want you to be able to make sure you have an escape route. If I mount it in the middle of the building and there's a fire, well, someone's not going to be able to come in to grab the extinguisher to help. I want them to be readily available, easy access, and plus it helps them let everyone know where every fire extinguisher is going to be. By every entry point, by a stairway, on every doorway. That's where you're going to find a fire extinguisher. Easiest place to find it. Open a door, there should be one there right on that door. That way it'll be easier for you to maintain them, know where they are in case of an emergency, know exactly where that stuff's going to be. Pretty much for this building, he's already discussed it all, and I have nothing else safety-wise related.
By our local department, some of people have asked me. This is pretty much your house. These are the things that come up on there. Something. And like this is your drawworks. I think those go down there for a top drive. This is just the main breaker that powers everything up. But you guys will see once we get started, as we go through and power up the rig, you'll know what, you'll figure out each one of them are for. Unless you're qualified and you know what you're doing, I would never ever open these panels because there's enough voltage in here to blow your feet right off of your leg. So, especially when you're wearing steel toe boots, it's better always to have somebody qualified in here whenever you start working on this stuff. So, The question came up. They asked me what was Amphion. So over at NOV, they have a bunch of nerdy guys sitting around. They're all engineers, and so Amphion was a Greek god. He's the one that actually picked up the stars and put them into place of where they're supposed to be. And so they had to have a cool name for something. And Cyber Rig, Cyber Chair, Cyber this, Cyber that was all taken. So that's where they came up with Amphion. One of their nerds over there threw that out there, just for general knowledge. But it has it's just a specialty NOV product that's what they call it. So if you look on the walls here, there's some emergency stops on there. You gotta just make yourself familiar with them and make sure you test them each time before you start a hitch. That way you know for your own sake, if you run in here and hit one of them, they're gonna work. It will explode. So the air conditioners have to work at all times. If you guys go in there and the rooms, if it's above 76 degrees, get a hold of your driller, get a hold of your rig manager, somebody, tell them to get some out to look at the AC unit, because that's super important that those things are working all the time. Water and electricity doesn't mix. I'm sure everybody knows that. If you have to go in there and clean the rooms, we never recommend a water hose. It's okay to mop the floor, but you have to do it when the power's off. Take your mats out, mop, vacuum, make sure it's dry, put your mats back, and then power it back up. If you look in there on the floors, there's rubber mats down. Those are non-conductive rubber mats to keep you from touching the ground. If those things are wet, they do you no good whatsoever. So, plus those rooms, I've had it happen before where we were in there trying to work on something and the breaker, if you have a problem, those breakers can actually blow out of the wall. They will actually come through this metal. And we asked that everybody keep them clean, because the one time that I had that happen to me, when I was trying to get out the door, I tripped over a fire extinguisher that's in the middle of the floor, and the rig manager grabbed me by the shirt collar and pulled me out. So it's really important that we keep it empty and keep it dry.
You guys know what they're for? Anybody have idea what they're for? Tie off? Okay, so whenever we start rigging down, when you guys start taking these buildings off, there's one in each corner of this rig floor. We'll have a safety curtain that's rated for 5,000 pounds. So anytime buildings start coming off, handrails start coming off, you'll have a tie-off point all the way around this rig floor. And you'll also have your overhead solids. So the guys who are installing these cables will have a tie-off point. Driller, anybody going to be on this rig floor. It's a safety feature that all of the rigs are going to be coming out with now. So a lot of the older rigs didn't have this. We had to keep that leading edge. We have to stay 6 feet away from that leading edge. Now we have this, you can maintain 100% tie-off. You can step on the outside, come and install these stairways when they're not there. You have a tie-off point, anchor point to be there, leaning over the edge. You know, these are little safety features that we're introducing into these rigs. So that way it's your job to be working on this equipment. We have a place safe for you to work in. You know, inside this building, this is the ODS tool room. You have an air compressor in there as well. Tool storage lockers for tools and equipment for the rig floor. No real safety features as far as equipment there besides fire extinguishers for the immediate equipment inside there. You will have a stretcher basket stored inside there. In case for any reason there is a rescue at heights, that will be readily available inside that building.
On top of these buildings, also there's tie-offs.
All buildings, all rooftops, if you look down, like on top of the shaker tank roof, there's a cable up there for 100% tie-off. For some reason you can go up there, pressure wash to clean, you're removing a light, you have a place to tie off and be maintained, 100% tie off at all times. Everyone knows the rule, anything over 4 feet, 100% tie off.
The most important thing about PD that they care about is safety. They're more concerned about safety than anything else. They don't care if we make one dime. If something happens and somebody gets killed, we would rather go broke. The most important part of this, as far as our executives go, they would rather fire every one of us standing here on the rig floor than have one of us go home hurt. So Grant Hunter, I think he's probably the most caring person that I've ever met in the oil field that cares about our safety. So you guys, while you're out there, if y'all see something wrong and you guys think you're going to do it and take a shortcut and get by with it, it won't fly here. We're different than Patterson, we're different than HMP because we actually care. So you guys, the safety features he's talking about, pay really close attention. If you ever get to a point where you have a driller or a tool pusher tell you, hey, you're going to do this and you know it's unsafe and that you know there's a chance that I didn't do this ever before like this, I don't feel right doing it, speak up, because if you do it just because he told you to, and you know it's wrong, you're just as responsible as he is.
If you see someone getting themselves put in danger, and then utilize your 5x5. Discuss it, revise your JSA, discuss those hazards. You know, it's real easy to do a job, but to do it safely is what matters. You can do this whole well and drill multiple wells with this rig. Be safe every one of those days, but that day you come to rig move, one guy gets hurt. One person goes home, not the same way he came. That split second, that's all it takes. And none of your safety record matters anymore. You know, I discussed it with the last group. Safety is priority. I mean, we discussed it. That's why we have our key beliefs and target zero rules. This is what PD wants. Safety with everybody. Everyone needs to be safety orientated. If safety isn't the priority in your heart, PD is not the place for you to be. That's simple bottom line. Safety comes first. The field comes first. That's why we put all this equipment on here, because we want to make sure you guys are safe every day you're working out here. You go home to your family safe every day. It's your job to make sure you maintain this equipment. These fire extinguishers, they're only good if you take care of them. If you leave something laying around, leave something at heights, it's only as good as if you tie it off. You know, you take water up to the board, having it secure. You leave it up there, it can fall. Everything up here, we secure it ourselves. But you have to go through that management change. If you start taking something apart and leave it apart, you know, we had that incident with the one on the board. They left a pin loose up on the board. It wasn't designed to be taken and left there. It was designed to be left in place. But they took it out and forgot to put it back and let that awareness, you know, that it was out during rig move. It shook loose, it fell down, and so happened that it made penetration through the hard hat. You know, the guy's recovering now, but it could have been really bad. But it's that communication. You guys, if you take something apart, use your lockout procedures, use the proper communication. If you leave something at heights, let somebody know it's up there so they can go up there and keep everybody off the floor while they go to take it down. That's the main thing. If you take tools and equipment, you're leaving stuff somewhere, finish the job. That's my main thing. If you start something, finish it, and not take that responsibility to at least tell someone that it's not done yet.
Remember that 5x5, we have different, a guy just started last week, but he might have been in the oil field for 10 years. The guy's been for Precision 5 years. That's all he's ever been in the oil field. So just because you've been with PD for a week or two, hey, set 5x5, let's talk about it. See what the best play, you know, this guy's been with PD 5-6 years, but that's only been in the oil field 5-6 years. I said, you've been in the PD for 2 weeks, but you've been in the oil field 10-12 years. Hey, I've seen this before, let's have 5x5, talk about it. Put y'all's head together, that's what it's for. Everybody hot, cold, you know, kind of everybody calm themselves down, they talk about it, take 5 minutes to talk about it, come up with the best answer for what the job is going to do.
This is our gang. These are our gang colors. This is our gang sign. So let's take care of each other. Right?
A lot of rigs don't have, pretty sure standing out like Sunstone, there's a camera system down here. It's not a functioning camera where it actually rotates and pans or things like that, but it does have visual on your shakers, so that driller can have that acknowledgement of what's going on down there. If he has issues downhole, you can see at least if there's maybe an excessive amount of flow coming over the shaker. If he's not getting any flow back, you can actually have it zoom in on this as one shaker. Other safety features, of course, all the equipment has e-stops on them. For some reason, the shaker's not working right, this equipment's not working right, e-stops on everything. All equipment comes with an e-stop. That way, if there's a reason to shut it down, electrical problem, kill the power to that equipment. We try to maintain the floor so it makes it a lot lighter. Doorway entries, all fiberglass. Makes it material, the tank's a lot lighter and a lot easier to lift that up. But it's very durable and it's built in with anti-skid. So gripping up here, you won't have to worry about slipping and falling. Like I said, all walk-in surfaces have anti-skid painted on them and must be maintained. If it does get worn out, if you're dragging heavy equipment across it, it's going to chip just like regular paint on your bed of your truck. It's going to come off. The other cool thing about this, they do have hydraulic raising cylinders for the roofs. All rooftops on these tanks can be raised and lowered hydraulically. So that way you don't have that overhead danger of having to get it picked off and trying to stab pins in there. All you do is knock out your main pins, step away from the header in that buffer zone, operate it from control, and lower that roof down. Makes it a lot easier for rig moves, a lot safer. Like I said, rooftop as well has safety cable up there, so if you're going to be maintaining, going up there to wash and clean, you also have that available to you. The rooftop controls is actually a little portable HPU unit, little Honda unit, so you can one of the rooftop cylinders and operate that. This tank actually walks with the rig. So the shaker tank will walk. It has its own walk-in system, so you can do multiple wells. Backyard will stay in place. Front yard is able to walk. You add more suitcases in for your mud lines and power system. Like I said, every stair up here will have a fire extinguisher. There will be one on the end of the shaker tank. There's one mounted, going to be mounted over here, and also by your water source. I will have a shower eye wash combo. It's yet to be installed. We still have welders working on the framework for it, but it's going to be easy rig up and rig down. It actually locks onto that handrail, tighten down the bolts, they'll clamp onto that handrail. So come rig move, all you got to do is take your crescent, loosen it up, pull it off the handrail, lay it on the ground. You don't have to disconnect water lines or anything like that. It'll just be a simple rig move. That way it's easy to put it on and utilize that equipment, and it won't get lost or damaged.
Yeah, see all these are sealed. All the traction motor, all the motors, all your boxes, explosion proof, waterproof, tight. You know, of course, you see what that breaker head broke off. You know, it's a shock, you know, it's a hazard. Anything, somebody might have been in this, electrician might have put one bolt in it, worked on it, forgot about it. But remember, I mean, all this is sealed tight and explosion proof for that radiant shock, so it's all ground faulted. So as soon as that cover comes off and it's exposed to, you know, electrical hazard. Fittings, any fittings on that tractor, on those motors, broke off. It shouldn't be broken off. You know? So if it's broke off, you don't got potential for shock hazard there. So, I mean, every time you're working up here, guys, gotta pay attention to that.
If you're going to hit gas anywhere on this rig, so it comes from right here. These fittings, if you guys look right here, these things are sealed with Chico. It's like cement. It's to keep these keep gas and stuff out of each one. But this whole area, 5 feet away from the shakers, is considered Class 1 Div 1, and anything above it is Class 1 Division 2. Class 1 Division 1 is that means they're explosive gases. Part of the reason why that he was talking about these bolts being in here, how they make these panels, they actually put these in a room, and it's going to take this many bolts to hold this door on if this thing explodes. Because this door will kill you too. The bolts are not designed to keep gas out, it's designed to keep the door on. It's designed to hold this whole thing together. So if you don't have any bolts in here, not only is it against PD policy, you have to put one in it, but OSHA as well. They'll come out and they'll fine you, and it's like $2,200 for every bolt that's missing out of this panel. So real important to make sure that all your bolts and stuff are together.
There will be an LEL monitor mounted down here at your shakers, which is lower explosive level. It will be mounted down here with audible alarm and visual alarm. So if there is gas coming across the shakers, it will alert whoever's in the immediate area, and it'll alert that driller that we have an issue down here. Stay clear from this area. That'll be a safety feature also included on here. We did add one more shaker to this skid as well. There was only 2. We've added one more shaker for more volume. Right. So it makes it a lot easier to maintain, especially if you need to change out screens. 2 shakers should be able to run on the whole, and you can work on one. It makes it a lot easier to keep running, keep it easier and safer. A lot of our safety features are on the pump itself. Pods are all locked up. Everything's locked up. Get to inside to change your liners, wash pumps or whatever like that. It's all isolated, locked up. The only way to get in there, get the key from the ring manager. He should be the only one who has the key to get inside those. Also, spring-loaded pinion to roll the pump. That's been installed in all rigs. Any new rigs and all the ones in the field should have that installed already. They had an incident where a company man walked by and someone left the wrench inside the pump, decided to turn the pump on, guess what? Got picked up, flung around. That's a feature that's on there. So that way, you have to apply pressure to keep that socket inside there at all times. As soon as you release pressure, that socket's gonna fly out, fall down. It won't stay in there. Anti-skid on the whole floor inside this building. A drip pan is standard with all these rigs now. It's not going to contain all the fluid, but it will at least help you know that you have a leak.
All the pipes, all the electricals is ran overhead, clear walking space. So this trip hazards. That's why we move everything up. So you guys can walk through here. That's trip hazard.
Like I was talking about E-stops, both pumps have their E-stops, back right corners. I'm still going to be applying signage back there that says emergency E-stop with an arrow point to where it's at, an actual sign right where the stop button is. So if there's ever a reason down here something goes wrong and you're right here in this area, it would shut it down. You know, each building's equipped, it has horns in here. For that rig mount, there's some reason there's a BOP drill, fire drill, or man down. you'll be able to hear that horn going off in here. Nowhere on this rig where you're not able to hear it. There's horns on the tank, horns in here, horns in that gen house. Those are all safety features because I know I used to work with motors, be in the gen house. BOP drill happens, guess what? I don't hear a darn thing. But now every single piece of this equipment has air horns on it as an added safety feature. Like I said, all doorways in here will have fire extinguishers. For this building, there'll be one in each door here. Back doors won't have them, just the main entrances. The back doors are more service doors. They're not for going in and out. They're not the primary exit points. It's for if this pump ever has damage, it needs to get replaced, take it right out the back door. You have tool cabinets in here, store all your equipment. You got your liner rack. Makes it a lot easier for you to be able to grab what you need close to the work area you're going to be at. You know, past rigs, this would be in your tool room 100 feet from here.
Pressure washer installed.
You have a pressure washer installed right over there to maintain this area. But also be wary, read the warning signs. No water in this area. Don't be blowing water by your blowers. If it sucks water in there, you're creating a hazard, shock hazard, explosion hazard, damage the equipment.
If you look at these blowers, they're all inlets and outlets. So it sucks air out and blows air. So nothing stays in here to design for also. Your pressure washer, everything's grounded here. Very important grounding on all these houses. Ground rods and ground cables. So if you walk by there and that ground rod's laying on the ground, that cable on it's doing you no good. Or if you're walking by and the ground rod's on the ground and the cable's broke off, not touching it, it's no good.
The type of rig this is, it has a lot of really sensitive electronics in it that control everything. I mean, even your panels down here, your starters down here, they're different kinds of starters, and everything on the whole rig is really sensitive to ground. If you don't have it grounded right, and we have an issue with, say, the top drive, that's a pretty normal part that has ground problem. It can blow up just about everything in that house and put a rig down for a long time. So grounding the rig is probably the second most important thing you do when you rig up, is making sure it's grounded.
Gonna go to the dry power? I don't know, we got power there, it might be darker than anything. Is that emergency light switch on? Jason, that breaker panel is back right?
This turns on all your control voltage and all your PLC, all your MOXes, your SBCs, pretty much everything that you need. Down there, those cabinets, those are your main breakers for your generator. We were going to actually go through and show you how to put the engine online. I don't think we're at a point where we can do that. But pretty much what you're doing, has anybody ever explained to you guys what it means to put 3 engines on the same bus? I mean, I know you guys know that you're putting 3 engines online, but has anybody ever explained to you what it means? Okay, so we have one piece of bus work that runs through this whole thing, one strip of metal, that's bus. That's what we energize. There's 3 per phase, A, B, and C. So what we're doing is we're taking one engine and we put it onto that bus. So you have 480 volts or 600 volts in this case on that bus, on all 3 phases. So if you go out there with a meter and you measure from one piece of metal to the other piece of metal, you have 480 volts. Same with the other one. If you measure it to ground, you'll have half of that. So what we do is we actually take 3 engines. If you try to do this at home, it's considered a dead short. Imagine taking a extension cord and putting a male end on the other end, plug it into one receptacle and plug it into the other. It's going to explode, right? Because you've just put 120 volts on one cable. So you're dead shorting it. So what we do is once you get that one engine online, there's a little box in there. And this little box is called a Verisync relay. It takes and it detects magnetism between the phases. So electrical theory, if there's no magnetism, there's going to be no arc. So if you take and you've got one engine online, on the other one, it sees that there's no magnetism. As the thing is running, it'll find a point where there's no magnetism. That's where your sync scopes come in. That sync scope actually tells you that there is, when you're at 12 o'clock, there is no magnetism. There's 0 difference in the magnetism between A phase and the engine you're getting ready to put online. So it allows you it sends 120 volts up to your breakers and it allows you to close them. When you guys are putting these engines online and that needle's spinning, the thing's going to be flying. That's dangerous. What you need to do is you need to actually slow the thing down to where you can control it. These engines run off of 600 volts at 60 hertz. Anytime you try to put an engine online, if you don't have either or, you cannot put that engine online. If you tried to put it online while, say, the driller's up there running the drawworks, if he, for a second, you see it moving real slow, and you go to push that button, and that Verisync relay fails, and he jumps and pushes up on that joystick and makes that needle spin around, you press the button, that breaker, I promise you, will go all the way through that wall. And so it's real important to make sure that you're communicating with the driller or whoever's up there in the chair, whoever's running the floor, each time you try to put one of these engines online. Because you're actually taking two engines that are not meant to be tied together, and you're tying them together. And you're depending on all the electronics to keep you safe. Sometimes they fail. Electronics do fail. So always communicate with the driller that you're about to put an engine online. Make sure that you have 600 volts and 60 hertz, and make sure that needle, that thing should take it about 30 seconds to go all the way around. Once you get it moving slow and it's at 12 o'clock, that's when you can reach up and close the breaker. There's buttons, we've actually put switches on there to prevent you from closing them. We don't want you to put your hand up in front of that breaker to close the button to turn it on, in case something happens and that breaker comes out and take your hand off. So down on the doors, on each one of them about this high, there's a button there. Even though we're in here and you're inside, there's nothing flying around. When you go to close these breakers, safety glasses and hard hat, that's really, really, really important that you have your safety equipment on, just in case that breaker blows out. You never want to stand directly in front of it. You always want to stand over to the side. That's why we mount it down there on the end so you can see it. And once you get to where you are, it's better to look away from that breaker and close it. So if we get a chance before you guys leave, I'll come out with you and we'll go through putting the engines online and explain to you what master slave is. We'll explain to you where your emergency stops are, what happens whenever you hit the generator kill, how it kills it, what happens if it doesn't kill it. It should close your air flaps out there and shut the engine down. We short out the throttle signal to make the engine stop running. But if you have an issue to where you can't shut it down, what you can do in here to go ahead and make sure it stops immediately. So I'll get up with Frank and we'll see if we can set something up once they get the engines. We'll go through all this together, put them online and take them offline. All right, so my technicians come out here and they're going to put it online. They follow a little bit different procedures than what the standard procedure is because they actually know how it works. But as far as this group goes, until you get more familiar with the rig, when we put it online, there's a basic standard way to do it, and we will follow that basic standard way for safety purposes. So I'm sure that there's some of you that do things different at the other companies you come from. I've seen guys go in there and that needle will be spinning around. They're trying to catch it on the fly. They're sitting there pressing the button until the 120 volts click in and the breaker closes. And I walk in and I see him doing it and I just turn around and walk right back out because I think he's going to kill everybody in the room. So you have to be trained on how to do this and have somebody really explain to you what it is that you're doing. A lot of people think they're just turning on a switch. There's a lot to it. You're turning on 3 switches and you're turning on, say if you got one light bulb hanging in your house, you got 3 switches, you're turning on all 3 of them at one time, the light bulb's going to explode. So here it's the same principle. So we'll make time if Frank can set it up to where once they fire up the engines, we'll come out and go through that with you guys.
And my main thing is just maintaining the lockout procedure, guys. This is the heart of the rig. This is where all the power gets distributed to the rest of the rig for their functions. Lockout board in here is available with the lockout procedures. It's your responsibility to make sure and ensure that that equipment is de-energized and isolated before you ever attempt to work on it. Just like all these signs say, it says de-energized equipment before servicing. The lockout must be performed before working on equipment. The sign can be there all day, all night. If you're not taking that to heart consideration to make sure that's getting done, the sign means nothing.
Out in West Texas here, not too long ago, we had a fella that was, I think he was third party. I may be telling you the story wrong, but the point of it is the same. So he comes in here, for example, we have a Desander decylinder motor, right? We got 2. But they are the same cans, they're the same plugs, whatever. So this guy goes out in here and he was working on the Desander. He turns it off, he locks it out, But he doesn't test it. He just locked it out. He assumed, well, I just come in here and put my tag on there. I signed the book. I did everything I needed to do. And then he went out there to unplug it. And he grabs a hold of that plug and he goes to unplug it. They had their desander and desilder cables swapped. And when he yanked this thing out, it arced and it caught his zipper. And it ran down his zipper all the way to the top part of his mail area. And then it spread him open at Butterfly. Wow. Yeah. And so it was really bad. And people don't think that can happen. Even me, I've been doing this a long time, and I never thought that it would ever run down your zipper and fillet you, you know? And so it's just so dangerous. So you've got to lock it out, and you need to try it. And you need to go out there and check the motor and make sure that it's not working. And that if you come in here and press the buttons, and you need to make sure that your cables are plugged into the right place. There's a lot of times where, especially third party, they come out with a centrifuge, they need a place to plug it in, they'll unplug your stuff, plug their stuff in, and then they'll move your stuff, and nobody tells you guys when you come onto your hitch that all the stuff has been changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if they plug into a spare outlet, they got to come in here and mark it what that's actually getting plugged into, what's tied onto that equipment. Because there's spare breakers in here, and there's a spare plug out there, but you go in there and plug in that centrifuge like you said, guess what, which spare is it? You might see in there, but is that what's going to that equipment? He's got to come in here and label it.
Yeah.
By OSHA standards, he's got to label
into
it.
somewhere else, and then you're thinking, well, I just locked out the centrifuge, not realizing that they moved the plug on you. A lot of people just don't think to check that. Half the time, I'm guilty of that too. I'll go out there and go to work and think, well, this thing has got to be plugged in. These rig hands wouldn't do something like that and move these plugs around. And then you go to work. You're always taking a chance. So double check, triple check, never assume anything. Make sure that these guys, sometimes people get in a hurry and they do things and they forget to say something to somebody else. So that's whenever you got to watch out for yourself. So make sure you guys double, triple check.
Does PD have a policy, like, company I come from had a policy that only the motorman, like, could plug in things, like, far as third party or anything?
Have you seen this rig? You would absolutely wear a motor man.
Oh, I know. But I mean, third party come on is what I'm saying.
Yeah, if third party comes, you have to make sure they're plugging and tying into the right.
We always have a problem with third party.
We don't want anybody coming out here and plugging stuff into our rig. You know, we don't want them coming out here and messing with anything. This is our rig. This is y'all's home. You know, you don't want anybody coming in your house and messing with the way you got things set up.
That's what I'm talking about as far as policy.
Yeah.
Not just plugging in everything, just third party mainly, because they're plugging anything they can find.
And the way we watch for each other is they're not going to watch out for us. Right. They're there to do a job. They're there to get paid. They want to get in, get out, and do their thing. So, you know, it's up to us to take care of each other. So, you know, if there's a third party come out there and they start messing around with your stuff, they start plugging stuff in, I would expect one of you to say, hey, what are you doing? Right. Why are you doing that? And did you get authorization to do that? So, you know.
That's why one of the first things when you come on location you're going to see is that 12-in-1 lease entry sign. It says third party must report to site supervisor and sign in.
Right.
You know, that has all of our main safety rules on the site. Hard hat policy, drug and alcohol effect policy and location. All those are posted at your main entrance site. If you don't have that posted up there, guess what? That guy's gonna drive in, go to any trailer, do whatever he wants. He's not gonna sign in, especially if he's new to the company. Make sure that's posted up there to catch those guys first time they're coming in our facility. That way we get them orientated, give him that orientation sticker saying that he's already been briefed on our safety policy and he's aware and he's acknowledging that on the form. You shouldn't have anybody ever come into your buildings without authorization. That's why every single one of these buildings says authorized personnel only. If someone's gonna be in here, you gotta get permission from you, from that rig manager, to come in here and do any kind of work.
Yeah, that's just like our electricians. The electricians you guys have will come out, they'll be in here doing work. It's always important, the buddy system, you never know what can go wrong in here. If you guys have electricians, mechanics, top drive techs come out to your rig, and we don't work solo, and so if he doesn't have somebody with him, it's always good, just the same as having a fire watch. That's not a written policy, but if I'm going to come in here and open the panels up and stick my hands in there, I would rather somebody be standing there beside me in case something happens. So, because there is always that possibility. So, if you guys know, half you guys that are drillers today will be rig managers tomorrow, and those of you that are derrick man will be drillers. So, it's important for everybody to know that if you got somebody down here working, don't let him run solo on your rig. Make sure he's with somebody, so that way in case something happens and something goes wrong, that he's got a buddy there to help him out.
talk about what problems we have with the top drives, our major downtime with top drives, maintenance on them, the do's and don'ts. And that's about it. This console, we don't have a console on this one. This one's integrated. The top drive stays in the mast, and it doesn't have a console, it's a chair. So it's all Ampion. Your older or your standalone units do have a console on them. The drill's console with a brake handle. So this one here does use the Ampion, the joystick. So we'll go to the shop, talk about that a little bit, and then we got the hydraulic guy coming at 1 o'clock. 400 horsepower each motor. It makes 800 horsepower top drive. Biggest part on this, you got the hydraulic bank here. You have a rig up switch here and rig down. Rig up, rig down. This manifold here is $28,000 for the manifold. Just manifold, not including labor. When the guy's leaving on rig down or rig up, what it's doing is bypassing. So when you rig it down, you bypass, takes all the pressures off the complete top drive, all your hoses, just in case you get the bump. Hydraulic hose gets pulled off, doesn't shoot hydraulic everywhere. Let's see, here's a switch here. There's a run, shut down, and rig up. The switch here. So when you rig it down, shut down mode. You're working on the top drive, shut down mode. If you have to change elevators, have to change your dies on it, rig it down, get that rig down, and then put it back on run. What happens, you got your RV1 and RV2, and what it does is this top drive, what it does, it builds pressure, and it releases pressure, runs on a cycle, about a 40-second cycle. Pressure's up, pressure down. That's accumulators on it. This one has 3 accumulators on it. One's for your backup wrench, one's for your IBOP, and one's your system pressure. So what the switch does, like I say, rigs it down, releases pressure on it, you move it around, nothing more to worry about anything happening. Rig up, same way. Put it on rig up, it only doesn't give you all the pressure on it. It gives you enough pressure to get your elevators on, connect your BOP, your IBOP on it. And when you go to drill, leave it on rig down, on run. It's good to leave it when you rig it down, shut the power off, go back, and put it back on run after you shut it down. After everything's power shut down, nice to remember, go put it back on run. That way you don't forget. What happens, like I said, that it does wash out when you, whenever this top drive is running and you have it on shutdown or rig up, it's bypassing. So instead of going every 40 seconds, letting that accumulator build up and come down, build up, come down, it just cycles through there. And it's aluminum block, so what it does is wash out that aluminum block. And then you can't get your cycle time right. And you start having issues like you hit your link tilts, or your IBOP closes and your link tilt shoot up a little bit. Or you let go of your link tilts and it floats back down. We know it's washed out the hydraulic. You have 2 spots here. This right here is your hydraulic. Your hydraulic, where you fill your hydraulic tank up with. Your tank's here in the middle. Back here, walk through here and show you in a minute. Your tank's in the middle there. It's 25 gallons of hydraulic fluid capacity in there. Inside that, come look at this one here. Inside between there, here's a better look. This is your tank right here, hydraulic tank. 25 gallons of hydraulic fluid. Depends where you're at, what fluid they're putting in it. If you're up north, I don't remember the exact oil or hydraulic fluid they're putting in it, or down south, it's going to be a little thinner. But inside here, there's a bladder. This bladder is made for when this gets hot, it expands. That bladder in there, it's a big balloon. What it does, when it expands, it lets the hydraulic fluid come up without spilling. And then once it gets hot, once it cools off, it goes back down. When you transport it, it doesn't let the hydraulic fluid leak out this breather here. We have a big problem with the guys taking this breather off and trying to put hydraulic fluid into that breather here. They'll come around and take a look at it. This holds 1 gallon of hydraulic fluid, and then it starts overfilling. And every time we get it, the guys come back there and they shove it, poke a hole in that bladder, thinking that's where you fill it up. You do not fill hydraulic fluid up with this. There's a pump you get with the top drive, and that quick connect there, so we hook into it on your driller side. So you pump oil into it. Like I said, bladder, big problem here. Once it heats up, start getting oil spilled, they'll call in for a service tech saying an oil leak. Guy spends an hour and a half downtime looking for oil leak, finds out it's his bladder here. The whole oil expanded. So this all it is a breather for the bladder. This is your indicator here. You get a little ball in there. What it does, whenever you have your amount of fluid in there, your 25 gallons will float to the top. That's where you want it at on your hydraulic. Now your gear oil is right here. The gear oil is 15 gallons of gear oil. And you fill your gear oil up to the top of your top drive through here. There's no filler station like this, a hydraulic. Hydraulics pump in, and your gear oil you pour it in there. 15 gallons of gear oil.
Where's the sight glass?
The sight glass is bubble just like that one. It's on the side of where your pump's at. So it's gonna be on this side here. These pins, guys not greasing the pins. Inside this pin here, there's a channel where it comes up, and when you grease it up, it fills the pockets of that. There's a brass bushing inside there, inside your bell, where it goes into, where your pin falls into. This side's easy to get to. The other side, walking around the other side, has your surface cover on it. So it has your grease fittings pulled along on it. They always seem to get to the other side. On your ocular side, they always seem to get to grease that up. But that's another big money issue here. Every time we have to get these out, we have to drill them out, tap them, and get a 50-ton cooler on it, pull them out. Heat them up, beat them. We had a top drive take us 2 days one day. The 314 out of Miami, they're drilling up there. They never pulled the pins out in 2 years. It took us 2 days to pull this out. We broke rod after rod after rod, heated it up, because you cannot heat. The problem is you can't heat the system up. This comes to load, your load bearing, so you can't heat that up. So we had to heat from in here and try to get the bell warmed up before you pull that out. Traction motors. Each traction motor has your grease. This will be done by the technicians. We use Pearl grease on these. We don't use that red 77 or my stick. Now my stick will turn to liquid at a certain temperature. 130 degrees, 140 degrees turns to liquid. What happens if you get liquid in here? This part's not too bad. It will blow out with the fan, but up here, when you get turns into liquid, it does go to your traction motor, short cycle traction motor. We have
You're saying you use a different grease?
Yes. Yeah, it's a black pearl. Black pearl grease we use on this. They will be changed out. So this was just now getting rigged up. We have been putting a 5 psi lead valve on here, and then we put a grease fitting here, but we take it out. That way the guys, when y'all go to fill it up, the switch is over. The guys begin to start pumping that red grease into it. So we do put a plug on it. Equated also. So the coils on here is usually wired. Standard traction motors are wired. We use bus bars on it. We've lost one traction motor here in the last year and a half when we did the upgrade. We lost probably 2 to 3 a month for the upgrade on the traction motor. Traction motors, change the traction motor out. We got it down about 8-10 hours. So it's taking about 16 hours of downtime, complete job. From tech in there, change the traction motors out, swap the traction motors, get back running. So 16-20 hours of downtime with traction motors. That's $20,000, $1,000 an hour, not including labor. The traction motors, $32,000 a piece. So we've got $32,000 plus the $20,000 for downtime, and plus the labor. So we are losing a lot of money there to go on downtime. We also did an upgrade on the blowers. The blower upgrades, what we did, the old blowers, they suck air in through here, these holes here, and they push it through the traction. We've got these ducts back here, and it pushes air through the traction motor to keep it cool. What was happening, the old style, they suck water up and push the water through your traction motor to short them out. So we put these eliminators, what they do on the side of the blower, there's a lip on it. So when it pushes water in, it pushes to the side of the wall, and it comes down and comes out these holes here on the blower motor ducts. Another thing we did on the upgrade, on our traction motors. The driller side traction motor, your driller side blower motor will stay on all the time. When you have your top drive on, it stays on all the time. What it does is you got your coolant here. So for your tank, it runs into that blower keeps it cool. So as long as you have that top drive on, this blower motor will kick on, stays on. Now when you go to drill, for drillers, drill forward, reverse, your other side will kick on when you go to spin. That's the only time the other side comes on. So if your top drive's running and you don't hear no blower going on, you should have your pressure switch will be giving you an alarm. So if for some reason your pressure switch faults out on you and you do not hear your traction motor running or your blower motor running when your hydraulics are on, we know we have a problem. And always seem to lose our offside drillers blower motors. That's when it kicks on and off, on and off, on and off. What happens is with directional hand, kick top drive, turns it off. Kicks it to the left, turns it off. Kicks it on and off, on and off. So when that contactor is getting hot, keep from dripping on and off, on and off. And we always seem to lose that side first. So each side has its own pressure switch on it. The blower motors, you have one on each one. You have your pressure switch for your backup wrench. Your IBOT. You got another pressure switch. This is a hydraulic pressure switch on these, and you have your pressure switch for your system. System does not get oil pressure switch. It won't let you run. It'll shut you down. This is ran. You got your hydraulic motor, 600 volt motor. You got a pump on it, and from your pump pumps this hydraulic motor, which got your gear motor inside, your lube oil pump inside. So you got a pump running another pump. So the hydraulic fluid's running, it pumps your lube pressure. That's where you get your lube pressure from. Lube pressure 5 to 20 psi on the systems. Anything over gives you alarm. Anything under gives you alarm. It will let you run over. It won't shut you down. If it does go below 5 psi, it will shut you down. It shuts down. We know we got either a hydraulic, lube pump issue, or your hydraulic's not pushing out enough power for your lube pump to run.
You'll have a lot of hydraulic problems?
Yes, yeah, we do. We do have mostly electrical, but we do have a lot. On the ears, your hydraulic runs over your electronics, pushing your hydraulics. So what to do when test on these, you got some little titties right here. You can push these in manually and see what your system's doing. If you doing your link tilts don't run on your joystick, send you guy out here, you can push one of these in and see what it moves. Your link tilts, that's going to be, if you look at these, there's one with singles on them. There should be two with doubles. This one here is a double, and there's another one right here is a double. So one's your link tilts, and one's your IBOT. The other ones are singles, just does your single, your gripper's only your single. Your gripper works on the pressure, so you have to hold your gripper closed, and when you let go of it, it opens up. So it has pressures on both sides of the cylinder, not just on one side. So it does, it keeps pressure all the time on the cylinder closed. Cylinder open, keeps pressure on this so it doesn't actually bleed out on you. So it keeps it closed, and then when the driller forces gripper closed, then it will close it. It does have a safety feature on it. If the gripper's closed and it does feel you pulling up on it, it will open up. And also does it when you're rotating. If you have it on there, you try to rotate, it will open it up so it doesn't grab or tear the back of the printer off when you're lifting the top drive up. IBOT. Here we got on your IBOT, you do have a grease fitting in the back side here. We use these Christians manufacturing subs on them, or upper BOPs. They have the grease fitting. The M&M have a grease fitting where you can get to it from the inside of your actuator itself. You can get a grease fitting and put it on there. The Christian valves we buy doesn't have it on there. They had to move it for their patent, so they move it on the side. What you have to do is physically pull this back, move your shell, pump it, and then put it back on there. It takes a few extra minutes, but M&M's valves run us $8,000–9,000, Christensen runs $4,200. So we can buy two for the price of one. And they last about the same. Here, you see this one here, there's a grease fitting here. We drill them out and tap them and put grease fittings inside here. And these bearings here, there's cam followers they call them. Keeps this cam roller here greased daily. They're daily pumped on these. Grease these up daily. You have here your two grease fittings on this side, and your grease fitting, open this counter up, you have another grease fitting inside. Pump those up weekly. A couple pumps in there. Another big problem is these cam followers. These you got the 4.4 inch rollers, and you got the 3 inch. The clusters of 4, so 16 3-inch. Those run us I think 16 grand for just the cam follower itself. It's brass on the outside, on the inside runs on a brass housing, and we grease these daily. You got these for the single ones, and you got the cluster in the middle, but does all 4 of the clusters in the middle side of them.
They just got probably good season up eventually.
Yeah, season up, and what happens is you seize them up and they stick, and then they'll run up the track and won't run, and you got a flat spot on them. And then on your non-integrated ones, if you look at here, you got about 18 inches. These aren't your integrated. They stay in the top. They stay on that mast. They stay up there. Like y'all's rig, it's not going to really bother y'all when it starts wearing out. It will heat up, and they will start making noise, and they lock up on you eventually. But on your non-integrated ones, where this you only have about 6 inches. And what happens is you start rubbing these accumulator bottles against your rig floor, and you will eventually rub through that damn tank, that air accumulator tank, or your strap on them. And then also your non-integrated ones, the back side of it on your traction motors, where your connections, we have those where they run down so bad they did break them off running up and down, shorted out both traction motors. So that's your cam followers. It's another big downtime issue that we need.
How many inserts you got? Grease inserts you got on this total?
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll give you an answer here after this class. I'll look upstairs, but I'm not sure.
You know, whenever these come out there, you're going to have an inspection book, daily inspection that the driller is going to take care of. And there's lube charts in there that tells you daily, monthly,
How many shots?
how many shots.
Oh, okay, wow.
It's all
Foolproof.
self-explanatory.
It's a little carbon. That's a carbon sheet, right?
Yeah.
So you sign it. Driller signs it, and when the technician goes out there, he can see it. He can mail it into his manager. That'll keep track of it. Another safety feature we put on all these, we welded the size of your stabbing guide on the inside of these, and we put fall protection on this. We had a problem with the guys putting the slim hole, and when they rig back up, they leave the slim hole and run 5-inch pipe, and they'll bust these off. I don't know if any of y'all, can rigs will open up, expand on them. These don't. Can rigs open up, close, so if you do put a small one in there, it will force them, you'll wear them down, but they won't break off. These they will. These will break the bolts off. We had a couple instances where they fell down to the floor.
Which car? Can rig?
Can rig top, it's a different top drive.
It's Canadian. Neighbors out there.
Yeah, but we do have a few of those. We all went to all TDS 11 while we were buying new CDS 11. We have bought a few can rigs for international. 750 ton. They don't make a 500 750 ton NOV. Another safety feature we put on this is this cable in here. We had a few problems with the guys coming down, the drillers coming down too close to the floor and breaking this off. Backup wrench falls completely off. Luckily it's been low to the ground. When they picked it up, it fell down. You don't have your pins in there. We had another one where the thing was broke off, and the guy seen it. Who knows how long it was broken off of there. But it's lucky we did have a pin in here holding the back, so it did not fall. This cable runs from the inside here to the backside here, so if it does break off, it will catch up the backup wrench or grabber. Fall down, catches it. Also, another upgrade we did, these pins. We have a problem with these pins were backing out from going up and down. They were loosening them up and breaking the heads off of off your shafts. We have drilled them all now, tightened them down. We drill them, pin them. so it doesn't back out anymore. What else?
If every single little modification you do, you gotta let the designers or I guess NOV know that hey, you're down to do what you want with it.
Yeah, do it. It's a machine we bought it, we own it. They have now NOV. There's a NOV representative here, and they have used a lot of our safety users. They have went to their company and doing them now. So we kind of anytime they get a new bulletin, we'll send it out to us. We'll send it to the pushers and to the service technicians, and we'll schedule a date when the guys can go out there with the service with the pushers. So schedule a date. A lot of times do it on rig down. When rig down something not that important, we'll go ahead and rig down. Then we'll let the guys work on it, do the upgrades on them. Drillers, weight on the elevators. We cannot rotate these top drives with any weight on the elevators at all. We had on your bearing here, you have seals coming all the way through here. Up here, you have a big O-ring. I'll show you all one here in a minute. But it does. There's ports inside here. It's a we call it the backup. It's a stem, and it's drilled out for different ports. And all these ports are connected to the backside of this. You have the link tilts, your backup wrench, your eyebot. What it does is go through that port, and whenever you open that directional valve, it lets hydraulic fluid through there and gives you. It lets the command to open, close, or extend, retract, or grip. So what happens when you lift it up with weight on the elevators? I'm sorry, you can lift up weight, you cannot rotate. Once you rotate, this you'll see it. This will separate from here a little bit, and what happens? You guys pick it up, rotate it, that seal snaps. Then you have hydraulic fluid leaking out of there. Build the backup wrench. Coming up, build this on the way up. You pull all this back off, and change that seal out, put it all back on. It's another 8-10 hours downtime. Changing that out. We see it a lot with derrick hands. You know, they get up there, they can't get that pipe. Well, the driller kicks it out to them. What happens is you expand this out, you extend your link tilts out. Well, now all your pressure, when you kick it out, all your pressure's up here, you're pulling back down on your ROA, and then you try to rotate it. So you got your seals on this side, squished in with the weight from the pipe, and trying to rotate it. And what it does, usually it'll catch and break the seal off in there, and then you got it leaking in your ROA. When you have a rotary leak, you know it leaks right through here. Just having hydraulic fluid leak through here. There's a seal on that stem. There's two seals, and inside that seal, there's a peephole for your overflow. And that's what happens. That seal usually breaks. When you rotate it, pick it up. When those seals break, the bottom seals break, you get oil coming to the bottom side. Top seal breaks, you get oil over top of your grouping plate here. So you get oil coming out of here. A lot of problems we have too is your shot pin. We'll go on the other side of the shot pin. Lay around where you need to get it to, and the shot pin sets. These are a pain in the ass. They don't set all the time. Sometimes you have to play with it. And if it don't catch the first time, it'll go around in a circle until it catches. And you have to remove it again and try and wait till it falls, till it drops. Have you ever had that? Yeah. So that's another thing. You pick it up and you have that pin going. So that pin's pushed in. And now you have your link tilts leaked out. Well, that pin, it's only 1.25 inches. So you lift it up and then you bust the seals on your shot pin. The shot pin starts leaking because you always got pressure on your shot pin. Keep it held up and held down. That's another big problem we have too, rebuilding these. And 90% of the time is that reason. They're picking up a weight on the elevators, push pressure on that vine on that pin, and mess your seals up on that pin. So we just have to take this completely out, rebuild it, and put it back in. A lot of times with this, we'll wait till after the rig move or casing point, where the guys can do it. You're still gonna have your pressure there, open and close, but it's gonna be leaking. And most of the time it starts leaking, just a drip, so it's real bad, and it pours out pretty good. This is where you get y'all's oil sample from, right here. We'll get an oil sample, take this off, bleed a little bit out, then get the oil sample. Don't get it right off the back. You need to get the trash off here, and the first thing you do is got to get a sample, and all the trash builds up in there, or water. The water builds up in it. Then when they turn in and sit about oil sample, so let it drain a little bit before you get the oil sample. This right here is, you'll see it sometimes leaking. If you overfill it, there's your overflow right here. When it expands and it gets hot, it'll start dripping oil out of it. You see that a lot, you guys overfill it. Like I said, it takes 15 gallons, and whenever you drain it out, you never get all the oil drained out of it. You always over drain 12 gallons, maybe 13. Because you got little I'll show you the other one. You got little pockets in there where you can't get it all out. Well, then guys try to put 15 gallons in it. Now you have 16, 17 gallons. That's when you start having expansion. Oil starts expanding, starts leaking out of your overflow here. These, we took all the screens out of these blowers here. They're filling up with invert, oil-based mud, and heating up. So what we did, we took the little screens out of them, little mesh screens, and we just have these vents on them now. Pressure wash top drive. Don't sit in here, pressure wash top drive through here. I mean, pressure wash your motors. There is covers that get shipped with these. These are red covers. Usually see them one time. A lot of times you never see them again. Before you rig down, you always want to put that cover on this on the front side here. When it's rigged down and you're sitting with the rain, always want to come with the top vent. So you want to put those red covers over the top vent so it does rain underneath through there. When we rig up, you want to, before you rotate it, turn your top drive on, let the blowers blow out. Let it blow out an hour. There's built-in heaters on your tractor motors. They're auto, you have to put them on auto on your house, but we usually leave them all on auto. What it does, it keeps any moisture out of your tractor motor, and it keeps any moisture out of it. It dries them up, and before you turn it on, so it keeps all the moisture out of your traction motors. Pipe wrench on it, and kind of shut them and stretch them out. We'll crack the casing on them. So hand tight, and a one turn channel lock. You have your power to 777s. You have your 19 pin. Your 19 pin is your 600 volts. You have your two blowers. Has your loop pump. Your hydraulic motor, 600 volts. And you have your heaters, your 220 volt heaters, all in this plug. Your 42 pin is your robotics. Your commands for your link tilt stand, link to retract, rotate, gripper, all this 42 pin on this, and your encoder. Your encoder will give your top drive your calculator, that's what it is. Your encoder tells the top drive what speed it's turning at. These are made 225 RPMs. I know we'll never rotate them that fast, but they're rotated 225 RPMs. Consistent torque at 38,000. They put out 54,000 to make up, break out. The continuous torque is 38,000. Grounding. You see on here, the problem with these two, guys will leave these loose. These rotate, they vibrate, strip them out. Strip out, then they get lower. You can break them off when they tighten them on. They're trying to put the bolts on there because these are brass. You break them off. Grounding is a big issue on the top drives. With the encoder on them, it picks up noise. And when you pick up noise, the top drive sometimes steer isolate by itself, or you give it a run command, and it shoots up 600 volts or 1200 amps, and it does pick up noise, and the top drive doesn't know what to do, what signal to follow. You have your encoder. Your encoder's on your off-road side. You don't really want to mess with that. Sometimes we'll have, if y'all call in, you're not getting no rotation, we'll have the guys open this door, one of these doors up. You can look in there and see your encoder. Make sure the belt didn't break or your pulley system didn't slip on it. We have a lot of big issues we have with the pulley on there, with the Allen wrench will back out, and the pulley would turn, your shaft not turning. So you give it rotation, your pulley's turning, your shaft won't turn. So, like a lot of times I have call the rig manager, call in, and the first thing they tell you, I check. Put the pulley system on your encoder. That's pretty much it. You have anything to add? The Kelly hose, some top drives have a little kicker, keep them off, different rigs, different applications, some you don't. A lot of times if your backup, if your mud line's rubbing, we have to do a little 45 kicker, we put it off and you kick it off to the side, kick it away from the rig. It does come with every top drive usually in the house. And we get a call and say we need one. So the guys look in their junk basket and it's in there. So it does come with one. Hey guys, we're going to go over our hydraulic systems. We got Scott Pratt. He's our hydraulics manager here. Problems, issues we have. A lot of times we can't figure it out, we give Scott a call. So he's going to go over a few problems we have. Hydraulic problems. The new hydraulic system we're going through. So, Scott.
All right. So Fox 75, guys, is kind of the newest style rig we have. It's the 2.0 at 1500. Made a lot of changes on the hydraulic system. A lot of things to make life easier on you guys as far as quick connects is a big one for out in the field, not getting hooked up right, not getting hooked up all the way, hooked up wrong. So we've actually next to hook up in a certain area, it'll actually be one handle that connects all of them at the same time. So that's I think a big improvement we've made. Biggest thing in the field right now, guys, is contamination. We struggle pretty bad out in the field trying to keep oil clean. So what I've done, I brought kind of a couple oil samples to show you guys, and you can pass this stuff around. This is from a rig out in the field right now. It kind of gives you a blown-up picture of what the oil under a magnet or under a magnascope there looks like. And you may not be able to see it, but these microns, these little particles, they cause us literally millions of dollars of damage a year. Last year we spent almost $2 million on these telescopic cylinders, just because of this right here. Equipment failure, I mean, it's everything. It's how we perform as a company. It's safety. It's everything. The better we keep our oil, like the longevity of the equipment, it's going to save you guys a lot of time and trouble. So this right here is what we're trying to avoid. Is oil like this right here. You guys can see this is typical. Almost every rig, this looks like that. That's what we're trying to get away from. So big thing is education. A lot of people don't know brand new oil. Everyone thinks this is brand new oil we're going to put on the rig. This is good oil. Well, it's not. It's our job to filter the oil. Brand new oil only meets minimum government regulations. Okay, so it's our job when we get new oil on the rig to filter the oil through filters and put it in the tank. Because if you take that oil and you put it straight into the tank, most of the time that new oil is worse than the oil going in the tank. So that's a big thing that we want everyone to know. When it shows up, we need to have a filter cart. But if we just, or even if you don't have a filter cart, if you have a filter on the rig, and if you have a little diaphragm pump, whatever you're using, if you put that oil in through the filter, it'll at least clean it up. As opposed to pulling a cap off the top of the tank and just pumping it straight in. That goes a long, long ways. Just the other day, we had an incident on rig 566. Derrick came down uncontrolled. The reason for that was contamination in the Have valve. Have valves are a big part of the rigs nowadays. We're using them on everything. We use electronics. And the guys' valves are designed for the most part to spring back to center. Most of you guys have used a hydraulic valve. You pull the handle down, you let off it, it should spring back to the neutral position. Well, if you get too much contamination in that valve, when you let off the handle, it'll actually stay engaged. And if no one's paying attention, you can cause a ton of damage. And from a safety perspective, we got lucky. We just damaged the handrails, nothing too bad. A little damage to the ground section, but it could have been a lot worse. 100% of that was due to lack of maintenance. I see all the time, you guys see all the time, going out to the field, these quick connects getting drugged through the mud. I'm trying to let everyone know that 2 seconds it takes to put a cap on that quick connect, it'll save you so much time and long. It'll save you a ton of time. So like, we made sure we've tried to label the quick connects a lot better on this rig. We've given some extra caps and plugs like spares, because sometimes we know they get ripped off. So we put some spares on the rig. So now we're relying on the rig crews to, to take that and to ensure that people are doing that, those extra small steps. Like I said, you guys, the numbers are out there. Like it's outrageous how much we spend time and trouble on just the little stuff. We can get rid of the little stuff, and it'll save us a ton of time and trouble, effort. So next, I'll go over some of this. You guys think is interesting. Talk about like the little stuff that eats the pumps up. A grain of salt, of table salt, is 100 microns. Okay, so that's something you physically see. A grain of human hair is 70 microns. White blood cells are 25 microns. Red blood cells are 8 microns. So this stuff is so microscopic, you can't even see with the human eye. And that's the stuff that's eating up these pumps, putting us on downtimes for days on end, is these 8 microns. Like all of our filters are rated at 8 microns because we don't want anything above that getting into the hydraulic system. So it shows you like the sand and driving it through the dirt, these quick connects. Like that's well above this table salt, which is 100 microns. So it's these new valves, these new electronics that we're putting on the valves, it's very sensitive to contamination. And you guys will find out. I'm sure there'll be calls from you guys who say this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Well, our biggest emphasis we're trying to drive is contamination control. That's the stuff that really eats our lunch around here. So next time you guys see, it doesn't take long either. You can take some brake clean, you can spray out the inside of those quick connects, you can do the best you can. But the more, the better we get at maintaining the equipment, the safer it is to run, the longer it's going to run, the better everything's going to be for all of us. Next thing I got. So hydraulic oil, when we're running on the rig, typically runs about 150 degrees as the temperature. So human skin at about 120 degrees will start to create first degree burns. Okay, at about 120 degrees. So from a safety perspective, we're really trying to let people know that you should always be wearing your gloves anytime you're out there handling these hydraulic hoses. We have a lot of cases of burns. We have a lot of cases of injections. I'm going to show you guys a recent one. It wasn't on our rig, on a precision rig. But this guy's hand right here, I'll pass this around for you guys to look at. This was a hydraulic injection oil right here at about 2,500 PSI that came off of a hose. Okay, so the hose, another thing, information for you guys. Hoses, you all see the rubber hoses on the rig, they're all hydraulic hoses, okay? The rubber on the outside of the hose has nothing to do with the integrity of the hose. What that is a cover to cover the wire braid. The wire braid is where the hose gets its strength. You heard the terms 1-wire, 2-wire, 3-wire hose. That's where the hose gets its strength. So the wire on the hose, once the rubber is gone and the wire is exposed, what happens is now rain, the snow for the rigs in the north, it'll corrode that wire because it's metal. And when that wire gets corroded, that's when you can have a burst in the hose. So this right here, like I said, this was a guy who was checking a leak. It was at 2,500 PSI, and this is what happened to his hand.
Is there anything you can do to quick patch, piece of tape around it? No?
No. If you see a leak, the best thing to do is identify the leak, find out where it's at without using your hands, without using anything. If you want to use a stick or something, make sure it's there, that's fine, but shut the piece of equipment off, bleed the pressure off, and then remove the hose and replace the hose. But you never want to use your bare hands. You don't really, to be honest, you don't even want to use gloves.
It's just like a plasma cutter. If any of y'all have ever seen a plasma cutter, sandpipe, rubber hoses with that much pressure, but that's just a pinhole, and you walk by it, it's gonna cut. And whatever it's coming out of it, it's gonna inject that inside you.
No, he's right. That's exactly what it's like. Just like a plasma cutter, that thing is shooting high pressure oil out, and it'll cut right through a glove. It'll cut through anything. It's high pressure.
What do we call it? Pressure increases the cutting force, doesn't it?
So that's another thing, you know, as far as safety, we're trying to, you know, we don't ever touch, you know, and another thing too is when something is under high pressure, don't ever run over there and just try to, it's just a small leak, put a wrench on it, twist it, always make sure you turn the HPU off, leave the pressure off with this equipment, and then you can tighten it. But anytime, especially O-ring and JIC, those fittings will explode if you try to tighten those while they're under high pressure. Those fittings are not meant to be moved while they're under high pressure. They will explode. I've seen it happen in the yards. I've seen it happen on all places. They're not meant for that whatsoever. So, and same with standard, same with anything. No, nothing's really rated to be turned under high pressure like that. How many of you guys have been around walking systems, walking rigs before? Yeah. So we made some pretty nice changes on those too with those multi-coupling plates. We made some new changes to the derrick, and we probably have the safest derrick van crewing contractor there is. We have a really good equalizing system now, and I'll show you guys that when we get out there in the field now. And we can talk a little bit more about the system that's designed for that. Let's get out there and show you guys the new controls, things that have been added and stuff like that. Let's see if there's anything else in the book here. So some of this I'm going to put, is the rig manager in here or no? The rig manager? So I'm going to put, I have a preventative maintenance schedule we're going to put on the rigs package. It'll have kind of a checklist of everything like that, and we can go over that too. A lot of it is just dealing with contamination control, how to, you know, when we're storing oil, how to remove the sediment from the bottom, how to transfer it to the tanks, stuff like that, filtering. Let's see. Oil sampling is going to be another big one we're going to start doing. Every month we're going to start taking oil samples, we're sending them in. They'll get reviewed here, and then we'll send, you know, some stuff to the rig telling them this is what needs to be done, corrective actions to be made.
Well, I noticed that you, I went from 103 to 568, and I noticed that they started using the little filtration system.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was when I walked by it 4 or 5 times. I thought it was a paint sprayer. That's how compact it was.
Yeah, no, they're pretty small. We have one out here I can show you guys in tech center. We're putting one on our test stand that we're building right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting a little kick and move filtration on that right now.
Big money saving, though.
Yeah.
So we're going to be getting oil samples from every piece of equipment on there?
No, just, well, more than anything that has oil, because Darcy's in charge of engine oils. He's going to get all those samples from the
engines, mother coolers, top drives.
Okay. And then the hydraulics, we're going to see a lot of the things too. I'll show you guys. These oil samples, one of the problems we've had in the past is everyone gets these oil samples and no one really knows how to interpret the information on here. Like a company that reads these oil samples, they read them a little bit differently than we do. We want our oils to have a good ISO code that shows the oil's clean. Okay, so this one here, this is a good one. This is a 161411. This is pretty good. Company standard is going to be 161410. So this is right there. This is a really good oil sample. But you can have a, you know, and these numbers, just so I don't lose you guys here, these numbers are showing you how many particulate counts at a certain micron level. Okay, so you have 3 levels for an ISO code. You have less than, or sorry, grade 4 and greater than 4 micron. Then you have 10 and greater than 10, and then you'll have greater and more than 20 and greater. So it tells you 3 different levels. So the first one's always the highest because that includes everything above 4 micron. And then it gradually gets smaller. So we're going to set a standard. This is what we want to maintain our oil at. And then every month we're going to check it. And then if it gets out of hand, we'll support you guys from the tech center here. The filtration and whatnot, flushing it, whatever we have to do to get the oil back to where it needs to be. But oil companies, that's one thing we kind of learned in the past, because they look at things differently. because, like I said, new oil is typically way above the charts. So they look at the oil as if, can that oil be reused? Can it be filtered? Can it be cleaned? Can it still work in the system? Well, most of the time it can. But most of the time it still is above what the manufacturer requires to run that piece of equipment. So it's like I said, again, it's our job to keep the oil clean, to keep the particulate count down, and to do our own maintenance on the rigs.
Are these new builds gonna come out with a filtration system?
Yes, they are.
They are? Great.
Yeah. So we actually have a kidney loop. We have a little kidney loop filter, and it has a 3-way ball valve on it. So it can either suck from the tank and pool the oil, or you can turn the 3-way ball valve and you can suck from a barrel and fill the tank.
Oh, that's great.
So it's one level, one 3-way ball valve you turn, and you can either fill the tank or you can pool the oil. So
We could have saved a lot of heartache and money on one of the three then.
yeah.
They flipped, it overheated, burnt the motor oil, or burnt the HP oil up. And,
Yeah, we just changed the pump on that rig 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
2 weeks ago, we just
They brought a third-party hydraulic company out there, and he went through the system and told them it was a valve. I told him that the fan was blowing backwards on the radiator. He looked at me like I was crazy, and it was. That's where it overheated. It got to 185 degrees, and it was shot. Brand new oil. And
It'll burn up. And that's a good thing too. So you guys know, at 180 degrees, you physically break down the viscosity of the oil. So what happens then is the whole reason we use oil instead of water is to lubricate the equipment. Those pumps have metal-on-metal surfaces that are running, and that's the most important ingredient to the oil is its ability to lubricate the equipment. Once you lose that ability by burning the oil, when you get oil dirty, we can filter that oil, we can clean that oil, we can keep using that same oil. But once you burn the oil, there's no going back. There's absolutely nothing you can do outside of replacing the oil. Most of the time that involves flushing the rig out because now you've contaminated all the lines in the rig, most of the equipment on the rig. So even if you just change the oil, as soon as you fire up, you're just sending all the bad oil from everywhere else on the rig right back to the tank. So it's a big ordeal to pay attention. Like we've installed on the new HP over here, we've installed cutoffs. So if you physically get the oil to 180 degrees, actually 175, it'll turn it off and it won't let you run until you get the oil like that. So there's one, the first one is an alarm. So the alarm is going to go off at 160 degrees. And it's just going to be, blinking light, let you know, hey, the hydraulic oil is hot. So that's the time when you need to be, calling me or calling somebody and telling them, hey, we have a problem here. And then if you ignore it, in the past, it's just been run it until you burn something up, whether it be a pump or whatnot. Well, now we've taken away that altogether. It will shut the HPU off and you can't start it again until. Right here, guys, is like one of the new features we started adding. This multi-coupling plate right here. As you can see, pull this handle, the whole thing comes off as one assembly. As opposed to before, we would have to hook up the quick connect off every single one of those lines. So we really tried to take away the, no more accidents with this. Another good thing is they're either hooked up all the way or they're not hooked up at all. So that was another problem. Sometimes one quick connect would be hooked up properly. If the other one failed, it would create back pressure and you could blow up a piece of equipment. Well, this one here, they're either all hooked up or none of them are hooked up. So when it's...
We've got to find a happy one.
That's a lot better, I think. So it's two handles will replace the 20 quick connects that we used to have on the front and the back side of this. So that's one improvement we made. There is a cap the cover for both sides, so they take it apart, put the cap on. Alright guys, so this fitting identification, so everyone knows. This fitting right here, this is a 3/4 inch JIC fitting. So a JIC seals on this beveled edge right here. So a female JIC will always have a cone shape on the inside that will fit for a male JIC to fit. So anytime you see, if there's ever a dent or anything inside of one of these fittings right here, then oil can easily bypass right through there, because this is the sealing area on a JIC fitting. So whenever you see a fitting that's got a big gash right here, you have to pretty much replace it right away. You can't clean it up or do anything with it. It just has to be thrown away and replaced. So you can't over tighten those. What you'll do is you can crack, if you over tighten them, you'll always crack the female side. You'll crack this cone. You'll see the cones will have a stress fracture, a hairline crack right through the center. So whenever you grab a fitting, you should always look at the connecting fitting. These two fittings here will mate together. Okay. Now this end here, this is what we call NPT, which is National Pipe Thread. So National Pipe Thread is the most common thing on a rig right here. This has tapered threads. When you put in the female side, this has got the opposite. So not only as it's screwing in, it's tapered, so it's compressing the fitting. You get a good seal. That being said, you always have to put tape, Teflon tape, or some pipe dope, something like that. When you're using Teflon, it only takes about 1.5 passes, 2 passes to get a seal on here. You start overdoing it, it'll always build up on the inside here, and you can blow that Teflon into the system. In anything, hydraulic system, fuel system, whatever you're using the pipe thread on, air, you don't ever want anything to be exposed in here. You always want to leave about a thread or two of just exposed metal. So these ones here, the opposite, they don't have any tapers or any cones and cracks. These ones here, you really have to tighten down good to get a good fit on these. But if you ever take a JIC, you shove it in here, it's not going to fit. So that's a clear cut case. Can't use it. You can never use a JIC with a pipe fitting. You can only use it with JIC. You can only use a pipe with a pipe fitting. Now the last one is just two more. We have an O-ring. So this right here is what we call ORB, stands for O-ring boss. So this fitting here, anytime you have an O-ring, there will always be a machine groove, or a shoulder we call it, on the other piece of equipment. So if we're going to put this in a hydraulic valve, the valve will have an O-ring seat area in there. So now the pipe, I've seen guys, you can physically shove it in there, but it will never seal because you don't have the tapered threads on the female side. So screw up the whole part. Yeah, you screw up the whole part by not putting the right fitting in. So it's very obvious. You'll see. I don't think we have anything without an O-ring on the rig. Everything's plumbed up, but you'll see it's very clear as day. You'll see a machine groove where an O-ring will sit right inside of it. You can also put a light coat of grease on here so it doesn't dry rot. It always stays lubricated. That's another good practice right there. Other one, Blum & Voss, the ST80. They come with all flat face fittings. So this is an ORFS, which stands for O-ring face seal. So these, the hose end that these go on is a flat surface. It's always a flat surface. The female half of these is always 100% flat surface. And again, these will not fit onto a JIC. So the JIC has the coned area and it seats on the bevel. The O-ring face seal actually seats right here on the O-ring. You have a flat surface and this one here, and as you tighten them together, now again, you don't want to over tighten these because you'll break the O-ring. You want these nice and snug, but you don't want to try to break the wrench tightening them so hard because you will break the O-ring and that'll leak out. You can get O-ring kits. You don't have to throw these fittings away. You can just put a new O-ring in there. but it has to be an O-ring face seal O-ring. It's not a standard O-ring that's used in other areas. So these are all the fittings we use pretty much. We use male JIC, female JIC.
Are the threads different than pipe thread?
These are different threads.
Okay.
Every one of these threads are different. So JIC, which is this one here, these are the same threads as the bolts. These are regular standard threads. National Pipe Thread uses tapered threads. O-ring face seal, they have their own special dies and machining tools to create these. These are their own style of threads. And then O-ring again. O-ring is actually the same thread as a JIC, but it has an O-ring. So anytime you see a coned area, you know it's for JIC. Anytime you see a flat hose end, you know it's for an O-ring face seal. And again, that's on the Blumenboss. It's the only thing on the rig that has these O-ring face seals. So you will see these O-ring face seals. The Blumenboss has them. But most of the rig is pipe fittings and JIC. Everyone understand different fittings? How to identify them? We'll go for a walk on the rig floor. I'll show you guys all the hydraulic functions that are up there now. pipe threads are tapered, so they're small, and when you start, they're a lot smaller, and then they get bigger, they expand as you get down deeper. So you would be able to start the pipe thread in there, but you would be destroying the actual threads. This, because it's not a match set. It's not pipe thread to pipe thread. So then, not only would you be destroying the threads, but you'd be weakening the integrity of the threads. So when you start it up, this here has the potential to blow right off.
That's like FB 1600 version, which is now is FD 1600 actual.
That's the same ones they have over there with the 1600s. Those are Roxel.
Yeah, those Roxel, same horsepower.
just a different names. It got a little bit of that. You can see that one got that plate over in the front.
Right.
So this one, they don't have it. So anything you want to know about them, we're here to help you, tell you, answer your questions about you want to know about lubrication or
How's it work?
how's it work?
What's its function?
Well, this function is to pump mud and water to the well. Okay. So what it does is what they call it flush pumps. So they got your fluids over here, suction and discharge. So when that stroke comes this way, it's pushing up the water towards discharge. So they open the one valve and close the other one. So when it goes the other way, suck the water from the suction and push it up to the middle. So when it come back, this one is closed and the top one gets open. So you're talking about from 70 to 100 pounds on the suction. So it converts to 3,500, whatever the rig is.
Right.
So when it come out to a discharge. So suction only is the feet line.
Right.
You know, make sure this pump is full of water. And we're going to tell you something about the failures on your valves and also create some problem on the power end. Suction manifold, you know, which is one over there, came out of this pump right here. Mud and the water meet here first before they get to that discharge slide. Okay. So you want to make sure this thing is completely clean. But this stuff right here, what it does, it causes starvation of the pump. What's going to happen is it's going to start capitating real bad, and you're losing valves, seats, and pistons. So this pump is not made for pump air. It's made for pump mud and water.
Seats ain't fun to change out.
Right, no. It's not, and it's not just the, you know, the downtime and all of that, and you got to go through there. So I guess, I don't know if when the rig moves, they always open up the flange right here. Either side is this side, or that side you get a water hose and clean them out. We have some pumps in here, the gears been completely tore up, and when we take them out, this be all the way to here, mud, dry mud. So that's why, you know, it's bad for the power end too. So when the pump is going forward, trying to push in the mud, and all it's doing push air. So it's like when you kicking real hard, you don't kick nothing, you know. You can feel it on your knees. That's pretty much what happened on the bearings over there. So that's one of those things, you know, y'all need to look out. Keep eye on the oil pressure. Now this company spends money on make the clear covers. You can maybe, you know, every time you swim by there, you're gonna see the oil, you know, dripping down to the lines. This pump is made to run pretty much same right here. Feel a little nipple there? Yeah. What this nipple does, we got a 5/16 line, tubing line coming in from the manifold. And it fits here every time the crosshead goes back and forward, the oil falls on the cup and it's bumping into the, which is this right here. And that oil goes inside and lubricates inside the band. And right in the middle, we got another line and drip oil right in the middle of the crosshead. You can see it. You got another right in the front for the pointer rod. Okay. So that's why, you know, now that they spend money to buy the clear glass covers. Every time you go by there, you can take a look. If you don't see any oil dripping there, you know, it's something wrong. Yeah. So could be the filter in the back end is all flowed up. So it's time to stop the pump and you know, get the filters out and see why it's not lubricated. Because sometimes people all they do is look at the pressure gauge. But sometimes the pressure gauge can be broke too, you know. Right. But that's why they make this clear thing. You can come in a little, you know, the pressure gauge ain't working, but you see here, you got steady oil coming down. All you gotta do is, hey man, we need to order the pressure gauge, right? To put it in there. Usually we put it there, or we put them on the top. And this one's got the motor in the back. What we do is put a little line there, and go back to the back end of the motor skid. You know, it's very important to maintain the oil levels, and then like I said, that manifold Very important to keep that thing clean. Look that one. Yeah. This thing I probably about 10% oil already. Everything else on the back is good. Check this bands over here. You got 8,000 clearance. Check everything. Only thing we're changing is all 3 crosses and 3 slides, and we're changing 2 tops. You know, when this pump is running good, this crosshead should never touch the top part. Because you got from 20 to 30,000 clearance on top. You know, so this one, yeah, I had a 3,000 in one corner. So somebody went there and they just shimmy, so it got tight, I guess. And that's what you got right there. So, you know, it's one of those things that when you get a service tech out there on your pumps, ask him, hey, dude, what's the clearance on your upper slides? What's your run hours in there, you know? So he,
What's the clearance right now?
it's no less than 20 and no more than 30. You got that 10,000 gas in there. And then, you know, you got to check for the cable, you need to check the run out. If you got more than, we say, more than 10, it's good work. Not running through it. Yeah. And also, they got to check the fender. The diaphragm.
We do usually here, you know, put it on like that, and then get it off, you know. So you can paint it on there thick, and then get it off. But mainly you don't want it on here. You do not want it on your gasket. You do not want it in this area right here where the gasket is. You can paint that thin film on there like I said, but grease your inside, grease your ram, but keep it off your seal areas. All around here is about an inch area, I guess half-inch area, where this bonnet seal here fits. If you got grease there, pretty chances are. We had one wooden test the other day. What did it have? A little bitty curly Q wire off of a hand brush they used. Got in between there, caused it to wash. We had to put a new one. But that's how. One time it will, one time it won't. Also, mud builds up little by little in between here. That's what this kind of stain is right here. You need to clean that out. That'll build up a gap and make it compress, and it'll just get harder and thicker and harder and thicker, and pretty soon your gasket doesn't even reach your face. So it won't test either.
So you want to make sure both surfaces
keep them clean. Greasing the water a little bit like that keeps the mud from getting in. You know, you can put a little here, but don't put it on your seal areas and don't build it up. But that keeps it protected, keeps it see, I go like this, I pack that hole. Then when I'm through, get it off there. Literally take a rag and just wipe off your bonnet seal, you know. You pull your bonnet seal out, change it, you gotta clean behind it also. It'll, surprisingly, you'll get bayride and cement all behind it a little bit. Clean that all out and take it off of there. And that'll keep that from leaking too. But everybody thinks these are invincible. They're not. They're not. It's gonna be the worst and nastiest day when you're gonna work on them, and you're not gonna want to. So if you do that to them, they'll keep you from having to stand in the cellar the coldest night of the year, raining. Your ring grooves, keep them clean. Your bottom ones especially, set them on board. Don't put them out there in the ground. Just a rock out there in that shell out there, a rock will scratch that stainless steel ring groove, cause you to have a leak. There you are, nippling back down what you just did, nippling up. Whether it be hot like today or cold in the middle of the winter, you're not going to want to do it. So, like I said, you take care of them, they'll take care of you. That's your last resort between the well blowing out and you getting the hell out of there. So they need to be working. You don't have time, well, I got to fix this lock first. You ain't going to have that kind of time, guys. You got to do it right and have it ready for when the time comes. Anything else? Huh? Another group? Another group? They should have got here on time. Let's start off with this. This is going to be all stacked right here. This closes on any side of the pipe, just in case you have a pipe in the hole and you don't have a set of rams in there to fit that side of the pipe, and you can close up this on any side, the casing, the Kelly, whatever it has to happen to have. These here are your rams, it's your double. This is your single down here on the bottom, and your what some people call your mud crosses. The correct name is a drilling spool. That's where you're gonna go from your gill line into it, and then from the other side you're gonna exit going to your choke manifold. Usually you have your blind rams in here on the bottom. It's got this one happens to have variable rams in the top and pipe rams in the bottom on it. I'm gonna stand it up. Setting it in that handle, what's going to be in that handle. Y'all won't have to do anything but lay it down, stand it up, bolt the bottom up every time when you move the next hole. Your rams over here, I'll bring you over here and show you how these operate. See right now, they're all the way open. There's nothing in the hole. And when you close them, those rams here will be all the way closed. There will be all we have left is that groove in the middle, which should be closing on a joint of pipe, whatever you have in the hole. That ram there should be fitting that size. If not, you shouldn't be closing it on it. And you shouldn't be closing your blinds on anything, which is your second one down over there. You shouldn't be closing them on anything unless at all. It's going to match it, and then you're really in trouble. So those will only be closing whenever you have nothing in the hole. The blind ram. Dave, close it. These are foot off there, please. These are when they're closed. Open is open. It's that position there. It's all the way open. Closed is going to be closed. The rams are going to close. But when you're trying to open the doors to operate them, they're backwards. Open will be closing them. Closing will be opening to open the door all the way up. Which he's got it on closed right now, which is this side right here. Just put it on open. That's top of it. That's where you need to watch your ram packer and go slow, because it tends to pooch it out sometimes, and it'll just cut it and ruin it before you get close. So when you get in that area, just slow down, take your time, watch it. Somebody there maybe push with a stick or something that's happening. Don't stick your fingers in there, don't stick your hands in there. And then walk it in a little. Usually on the rig you're going to have your air pumps. No, they don't have air pumps on this rig. They're not going to have them. So you're going to be using your hydraulics just like this one is with the electric. So you pump it close, stop, back and forth. Run it on in, David. You can pressure it up like that, screw your bolts in, and then release it, and then get your hammer and tighten all your bolts up. When you go put your bolts in, start them all by hand. I don't care how good you are, don't use the impact, because it has a tendency to cross thread them first 3 threads, and it's miserable after that, guys, I'll tell you that now. So just start them all by hand, get them in there 3 or 4 threads. If you don't have an impact, run them in the rest of the way by hand. Grease here and grease there. Because you can tighten them up a little bit. By the time you get ready to take them off again, they're going to be so tight you won't be able to break them. So always grease that, what we call the back of the head on the boat, the bonnet boat. This is your closed side. That's your open side. They should always be labeled, so if they're not, somehow y'all need to get them labeled, and then they correspond with your accumulator over there. And that one be blind rams. That would connect where he's at right now. I would hook up the middle one there. Next one would be and then you're going to have another one assigned to your HCR valve, which bolts on the side of your drilling spool. Your bottles are all going to be pre-charged. Should be at least 1,000 pounds. Those valves would actually be open, which we're not using right now because we're just gradually working this thing on. That holds a pre-charge of 1,000 pounds in every one of the bottles. Without turning that pump on, you can just shut your rams. The water ain't having enough juice. Shut it on. This is an annular from rig. I'm not gonna give the number. We don't expect them to be kept up like this or sent in like this. If the ports here are wide open, it was probably leaking on the truck going down the road. Highway Patrol will pull them over, give them a ticket for environmental spillage on the road. Those need to be plugged, even when they're on that handler, your own truck, or if you're sending it out to get changed. But if this is the way this looks, I hate to see what the rest of the BOP looks like. They're not cleaning them. That causes faster wear inside the bores, like where the rams are riding. You need to open them up and get the cement that gets in there and clean it out, wash it out, get rid of that abrasion material in there. Same thing in here, you need to wash through there around that rubber. Y'all can see without getting it all over you. These are your bolts you take off, you take these nuts off, pick this lid up, change that packing element in there. This, when you go back, sometimes, or when you're coming apart, sometimes the bolt comes out of the body instead of just a nut off the top. So when you go back, that's all you should have sticking out of that nut, not 2 more inches of thread sticking out of the nut because it got easy and, or got stuck out here and then you just screwed the nut on down. You need to back up, probably take the lid back off, get that stud out of this nut and screw it on in the body and then start over again, guys. That's a good way for it to blow off and hit somebody and have an accident. Same thing with these. These should all, this is what we call a tap-in stud. This is a standard all-thread stud. This is what's supposed to be in all your DSAs, top of these. Biggest reason we've really gone back to them is because I guess common sense, they weren't realizing you could look across here and have them all the same length and know they're all the way down, or they wouldn't look at it that way, but this way you know all the threads buried in there. You got a full, whatever this diameter is, you should have that much stuck in the hole. If it's 1.5 inches, you ought to have at least 1.5 inches both in there. So this way you can't tell. You don't know how much is in there. Hopefully it's correct. They changed them out at the rig, I gather, because apparently at the one time I had the right ones. Same thing. You can, like I said, you can keep them all pretty much flush, and it gives you quicker. You know, I look at it, okay, they're all flush. I know they're all the way buried. You know, pay attention to stuff like that on your pulsation dampeners, on these, on your just about anything on your drilling spools. You can tell right off, hey, something's not right. It gives you a tattletale. Big lift shackles, I think I told the guys here that they're on there, that lift right here, that's only for this. That's not for that whole stack. Pick it up from the blocks. It says to pick this item up only. You got a ring groove up there, and your ring groove on the bottom. Make sure that one's always like we got it on boards. You set it out on the rocks, it can damage the ring groove real easy. It's soft stainless steel. In that ring groove, it's inlaid. Just this much right here, and you can get that damaged very, very easy, and then somebody doesn't look at it, you nipple it up, do all the work, test, and then it leaks. You're gonna have to take it back apart, unless you're on the end of your shift. But take care of top and bottom there. An incident on one of the rigs, I didn't bring it up to the other guys, I forgot about it. These they draw what they call the DSA, which usually bolts onto here or underneath. So they come up with a way to lift them. This is for drilling spools only. You're gonna drop it through there. Put it on equal spacing here. Come back up. You'll pull that pin out, which you got a lock in it. Little D pin, little D pin right there. Turn it toward you. Oh, okay, first. See it? Yeah. Got a tooth on it. Take it. On one side is equal length. Use your air hoist or whatever. And it picks this up. Before, usually all the slings had 2 hooks on them, so it wouldn't fit through that hole. So they were tying a knot or whatever else they were doing. Or they're using a nylon sling. Tendency on these sharp corners to get cut, you know. The DFA was really the issue because they dropped it. They had the sling wrapped around it and they dropped it. Fell on a guy's foot or leg, I think it was, wasn't it? And broke it. So they thought they solved the remedy with this. It didn't solve the DFA. All it's taking care of is this thing here. We're still in the process of making something up. We've got some other deals out there, but you can still use your sling for right now. Going around it, you know. Going around your stud, you know, and tighten it up where it don't come off equal. But we're in the process still designing that. We've got an idea, trying to get it approved and everything. Here's your rams that go in there. I told you a while ago, watch out for your top seal. That's it. Comes out real easy. Get under here with a chisel, punch it on out. Comes right on out. This is all rubber except for these two little metal pins with a head right in there. This one here is all steel on two steel plates. You can put them in upside down. First off, let me back up. That's your size right here. It should have whatever it is. So whatever size pipe you got in the hole, that's what size ram packers you should have. So verify when they give them to you, your packers are correct. They can go in upside down. If you see here, the contour with the top seal seating on there, that's correct. Another way is see how these are off center, your pins. Those should line up straight into your hole. They will go in upside down and really not give you any resistance. And you'd be surprised looking at how far off it is. It's not going to give you that much trouble doing it. These are them upside down. See where they hit? What's going to happen to this rib here, which you're not going to see because it's rubber coated. We got one over there brand new, Dave. You can't see it, so it's just going to sit there and cut a groove, plow a groove on both sides of the top of that BOP there and ruin it. It's going to start. They did it on one of the rigs. They did it about 4 times. It's like a machine shop, cut 2 grooves back and forth 4 times. And then they called and said it wouldn't test. Got in there and looked and found this out. They tore the BOP out, had to change the whole stack out. So you don't want to do that either. Got one open. These here, you'll have to get behind here, knock them out from the sides whenever you have to change them. That's that metal bar right here. You just kind of get in between here. You've got it closed right now. Chisel in here and push it, get behind it, start prying it open. Grease this and everything when you put it in, both sides, and it'll hopefully not too long. If it's 3 or 4 years, there's not going to be anything back here. Guys, it's going to be stuck in there. I don't give a shit what you do. It's going to get rusted in there. See how you see rubber, you think, right? It's that steel there. Go in there right here and cut that BOP. So let's see here. This one. Some of them have it. This one's got a T for top. Or they have top written here, usually. See how it's written 4.5? Right. This one's got 4 inch in it. Normally, like I said, if it's where you can read it, that's right side up. But it's not all the time. It's not guaranteed. I've caught some aftermarkets. I guess the mold got turned over or something, I don't know, but it'll have 4.5 just like this, and it's the right way up. So you just got to look at it. Look at your ram, how it fits in there, and how this all lines up. And you shouldn't have any problems. Got any other questions on anything? Sir. If you got any order, you're welcome to call at any time through your pusher or just yourself. I don't care. That's going to be your handler. We're going to, like I said, hang that on there. It'll be hauled that away. There's pans in there that have got to be greased regularly. Probably get ignored. They're up underneath. We greased all of them right now. That BOP is going to set on there, guys. There's nothing holding it. If you put it on a truck, he goes down the road and slams on the brakes, it's going out the front. There's nothing holding it in there. It's not clamped. So it's going to be, once it's put on there, the truck driver's going to have to throw a chain around it and clamp it. They put two little D-rings there, if y'all see right there on the back. But really he needs to clamp it to the main beams or whatever, throw a chain around it, and probably back here to the back to the single, it's going to be sticking out and just keep it from walking on you. But that's really the only thing to that, other than lifting it up and down with the hydraulics. The controls are all right there, which I'm sure somebody else will be controlling for at first till they train y'all with it. There's a little independent hydraulic unit goes with it. It pins right here in the front on each side in the substructures, so that when the BOP is standing up, the weight is all up here in the front when they're going to move the rig, and it'll walk, and those pins are holding it in the substructure, so it'll lift with the whole substructure, the front side here and the back, but all your load will be up here in the front, because the stack will be up here like this. And that'll lift and walk with the rig whenever you're moving the rig and putting in the little areas you're going to be working in. That's what them little pads are to tighten it up on each side. They welded them on so they tighten them up on the sub. Anything else? Frank, I leave something out? Like I said, your impact, don't use it. Going in, it'll so easily screw them threads up. Think, well, I'm the best with impact. You can grab just one little corner and there you already screwed. I got one he called a while ago, 555. He needs a tap, he needs a die, he needs a bolt. The tap is $2,000. The die, I ain't found one yet, and the bolt's $1,900. That's just parts. I haven't fixed it yet. The other rig, we had to change the whole BOP out. They couldn't fix it, so it's not worth it. It doesn't save you any time. Grease them or anti-seize them. Also in the back of your bonnet, I forgot to say, every time you keep doing that, putting grease, guys, it gets grease built up in the back, pushing in the back, dirt, pushing the back. And you'll get to where you tighten your bolt up and it feels like it's got tight, but you got this feeling or whatever, or it's still leaking, and it's not tight. That shit builds up in the back, and it hydrolocks it. That bolt's tightening up against that crap in the back, just bottoming out. It's not ever hitting your bonnet. So it's what I call hydraulic locking it. So y'all need to get in there with a stick or whatever and ruler and don't just keep packing shit in there, dope in there to anti-seize it. Clean it out once in a while. Gotta clean it out. It'll bottom out on there and never tighten your door, and your door will keep leaking. I don't know, I just put new gaskets and that's what it is. You didn't tighten the doors up because I was doing that one Christmas Eve. What it was, like I told you, was crud between the doors. Standing out there, had to go to Walmart, buy a 4-inch brush, and the rig was shut down 14 hours. All I did was clean the faces off. They went to town. and it's embarrassing too. It's something simple. So just keep them clean, like I said, and it's the biggest life of these BOPs. They're not invincible. They're not invincible. Jake, David, you got anything to say? When they say open them, you know, make sure what position you're in. Are you trying to open the BOP or are you trying to open the door to work on them? You know, because that's going to determine what it's going to do. So that's a bad safety. I always thought about that. These here, more like you're going to mash your finger or leg or hand. Those big ones like the guy had in Mexico, he's in a box. He got killed because he sent a guy over there, told him to go open it. To open it meant put it on close, but he went open, and mine went hit open over here. Close the doors. He should have gotten out of there in the first place, number one. You don't stay in there. 2, he should have never been in there. And 3, should have had somebody with a little more experience or really explained it to him, because he didn't fully understand what how to operate it. So, if you don't understand, stop. Go ask them. Do I hit close to open it, or what? You know, why they're asking. Whether it be this or changing the clutch on that mud pump or working on that top drive, you know. One of the guys I worked with over there, Frank probably knows him. He reached up there, took a hydraulic line off. When he did, he released that pressure, and that the handler come down and cut all these fingers off here. And they all kind of freaked out, but he had sense enough still. He was hung there. He had sense enough to put the line back on and then get the guy, because it wasn't going to move. And he got the line back on with his good hand, because he standing up on a ladder 8 foot. And then the guy was able to operate and pick that piece back up. But when he released that hydraulics without locking it out, that piece, that was all that was holding it up. Come down and got his hand when he was sitting there.
Henry Cock drive, you have to lower your elevators down to put your elevators on. So you get the RLA, what is they call the RLA here, they're lower down. And I think on that one we had a ball valve. That's what it was. We had a ball valve on it. And they used to dump all the hydraulic oil out of it, bring it down, put the elevators on it, and then close it back on. And it raise it back up. Well, like I say, he accidentally put his hand there. I mean, it's like this little lip. Easy place to put your hand at, easy place to put your foot on. And that's what happened. We did that, hit that ball valve, come down. So I think these two fingers
off that side of his hand.
Yeah, moon shape.
He's a driller for us now, but he always remembers that.
Yeah, like I said, he went out there and closed it. He had sense to close that ball valve up. And then I always stopped using ball valves. We always needle valves on those. TS11s you don't have to do them to. The contract you don't have on those.
But that's something that could happen on this thing over here. Y'all could take a line off and that whole thing fall over, you know. I don't know. I'm just saying that's stuff that could happen so easily.
Think about what you're doing.
So they have check valves in the cylinder, but if you trust that check valve for your life, you know, that's a secondary line up. So
you could clean, and you tighten them up, it won't take as much. A lot of them try, I had a hammer, there's no reason for it. Tighten them up evenly, crisscross, then it won't be hard to get apart, and you won't be wore out. It's really hard when you're up there, you know, pretty high when that's standing up, and you're up there trying to beat that other one that's going the wrong way from what you normally swing. You're having to hammer up on it. You can knock the shit out of it down, but you can't hit it hard going up. So you don't have to beat the shit out of it. You keep them clean and all that, you won't have to do that in your test. You won't be killing yourself, damn near causing yourself to fall down and have an accident because you're trying to break that bottom bolt.
Hydraulic connections too, if you don't have them all the way on, sometimes they can pop off, put back issues in it.
Sometimes you'll be working them and they won't move or this side will pump in, but it still won't work, won't pump out. Sometimes this one's bad, check's gone out or it's stuck, and so it's not returning back to your accumulator. So that's just deadheading and it can't go nowhere. And it's actually your check valve. I mean your quick connect. One of them's gone bad. It can't return, or vice versa, it can't pump in. So it's giving you a false reading, it's not moving, and you can go in there and open your plug on your accumulator tank and look in there. If oil just returning, dumping, doesn't move, you're probably pumping all the way through because your seal is blowing out. Or like on those LXTs, they got a button that operates them. The button's stuck in. Or it's not moving, not coming at all. It's stuck returning out the other side to the check valve, the quick connect valve. So those can give you heartache too, many a night. The end?
The end.
Yes, sir.